Chapter 374. You are the dog, the watchdog for Little Snowy, don't worry. I will help you. With me around, those rewards will definitely be yours, Icy said very loyally. Little Icy, you're really interesting. Old Zao said happily. Little Icy. Icy was startled. It had been a long time since he became an adult and anyone called him Little Icy. Boo. It feels so familiar. What, don't you like it? Old Zao asked aggrievedly. Boo. He didn't even dislike the nickname Little Zao. No, I approve of you calling me Little Icy, Icy said very happily. Okay. Old Zao nodded repeatedly. Grandpa Lan Ming isn't here. How are we going to the competition venue later? Lung Ruoxue asked doubtfully. She didn't know the location of the venue. Lan Ming told me before he left. We can go directly, Lung Qingtian said. Lung Ruoxue nodded and continued eating. After eating and tidying up, Lung Ruoxue and the others set off. After taking several turns, they finally found the competition venue half an hour later. Although the competition venue wasn't very far from the Mystic Association headquarters, it wasn't easy to find for people going there for the first time. I didn't expect this place to become the competition venue. Empty looked at the enormous venue in front of him and sighed emotionally. This place used to be just a barren land. Let's go in. Lung Ruoxue looked at everyone. Lung Qingtian and the others nodded and were about to enter when they were stopped at the entrance. I'm sorry. Please show your identification, the guard at the entrance said coldly. Does everyone have to show their identification? Lung Ruoxue asked in an unfriendly tone. Of course, the guard replied. Then why didn't you ask the people who entered before us to show their identification? Lung Ruoxue questioned with some displeasure. They are mystics from Sunzhou City. I know them. Of course there's no need, the guard said matter-of-factly. What he implied was that he didn't know them. Oh, is this all right? Lung Ruoxue took out her mystic identification and shook it in front of the guard. You can enter now, the guard said. Freak and the others also took out their identification. You can go in now. But you better watch your dog. Don't let it bite anyone. Otherwise, you'll have to bear the consequences. The guard warned as he looked at Icy, who was lying on Lung Ruoxue's shoulder. Fuck, you are the dog, the watchdog. Icy cursed furiously. Ha, little Icy, you're so right. Isn't he just a watchdog? Old Zao laughed exaggeratedly. Hee, it was so enjoyable when little Icy scolded people. Although Lung Qingtian and the others weren't smiling as exaggeratedly as old Zao, they were also smiling happily. But little Icy, we should only say this in our hearts. Alas, we have to leave some face for the association. Old Zao changed the topic and advised earnestly. Yes, you're right. Icy nodded seriously in agreement. The guard was so angry that he couldn't say anything and his face and neck were red. Let's go. Lung Ruoxue glanced at the guard indifferently. There was really no need to be angry with such a small fry. Okay. Everyone walked in. Although there were only a few people outside the competition venue, the venue was already crowded and bustling. Schwer, looks like we're late. Lung Qingtian looked at the densely packed heads in front of him and felt a little headache. He didn't like crowded places at all now. Grandpa, the best has to be the finale, of course. Lung Ruoxue said mischievously. Hee, little Snowy is right. We can't lower our status, Icy praised. You're here. Lan Ming appeared in front of everyone. Little Lan, you don't look too good. Lung Ruoxue looked at Lan Ming and teased. I'm sorry. I was too unlucky and couldn't draw you good opponents, Lan Ming said guiltily. Lung Ruoxue's and the others' opponents were very strong. Oh. Lung Ruoxue and the others answered lightly, and there was no reaction after this. Can your reactions not be so calm? Why didn't anyone ask me who your opponents are? Lan Ming said gloomily. These people's reactions were really too strange, making him unable to say what he wanted to say. What's there to ask? Well, no later. Lung Ruoxue suppressed her smile. Lass, don't you know what it means to know your enemy? Your opponent is one of the strongest in the group, Lan Ming said worriedly. It's better for them to be stronger. there will be a greater sense of accomplishment to beat them. I don't like opponents who are too weak, Lung Ruoxue said calmly. Little Lon Lon, I can settle everyone here with a single claw. What's there to worry about? Icy said disdainfully. Alas. It seemed that the Mystic Association was really at the end of its rope. He scanned the area with his divine sense just now but didn't find anyone worthy of being his opponent. Did you hear that? Little Lon Lon, I have little Icy here. Everything will be okay. Lung Ruoxue comforted. There was naturally no need to expose her beasts since Icy was willing to fight with her. Lass, he's just a puppy. How can you place your hopes on him? The words, disapproval were written on Lan Ming's handsome face. Little Lon Lon, I'll bite you if you call me a puppy again. Icy warned. Lan Ming didn't want to be bitten by a dog and hurriedly apologized. I'm sorry. I was wrong. Lass, you really can't be too careless. Your opponent is Su Nan, one of the top 10 geniuses of the boundless heaven continent. He is very strong. Moreover, he has been an elementary mystic for a longer time than you, and there are even rumors that he will advance to great mystic soon, Lan Ming reminded, his eyes faintly worried. Although Lung Ruoxue's talent was the best he had ever seen, she had been a mystic for too short a time. In this aspect, Su Nan was completely incomparable to her. Chapter 375. You are the dog, the watchdog 5. Oh, Lung Ruoxue answered lightly. Lass, are you trying to make me die of anxiety? Lan Ming said angrily. Lung Ruoxue's reaction really made him very helpless. Then what do you want me to do? Don't I already know? Lung Ruoxue asked helplessly. Alas. Men tend to become naggy when they grow older. Be careful too. If you really can't win, just admit defeat. No one will dare to play dirty if you admit defeat. Lan Ming didn't want to bother with Lung Ruoxue, who was giving him a headache. He directly turned his gaze to Lung Qingtian and the others and continued to remind them. President Lan, how can you not have confidence in us? Lung Qingtian said with some dissatisfaction. Lan Ming's words were for their own good, but as a former general, he really didn't like to hear demoralizing words. That's right. Although we're weak, the people participating in the competition are only one stage higher than us at best. It's not like we are going to fight against mystic supremacies. What's there to be afraid of? Feng Jin, who rarely spoke, said. Perhaps they weren't strong, but all of them were veterans who had been on the battlefield for a long time. They would definitely not lose to anyone here in terms of combat experience, so he was very confident in winning the first match. I'm sorry. I was too worried. All the best. The reward is already waving at you, Lan Ming said with a guilty expression. Alas. The older, the wiser. It seemed that Jin Hui was right. He didn't have to worry about these smart people at all. That's more like it. Old Zhao said with a smile. Okay, come with me. Lan Ming nodded and led everyone to their seats. The seating arrangements were good, and they happened to be in the middle of the competition venue. The field of vision was very wide, and they could see very clearly. This was the only thought in everyone's minds at this moment. Lung Ruoxue and the others sat down and waited patiently for the competition to begin officially. What a coincidence! Our seats are actually next to each other. Sun Meilin's voice entered Lung Ruoxue's and the others' ears. Unfortunately, her words didn't receive any response. Icy, who was lying on Lung Ruoxue's shoulder, raised his eyelids slightly and asked with some displeasure, Little Snowy, what's this smell? Stinks. I don't know. The air here is bad. Bear with it. Lung Ruoxue held in her laughter and comforted him. Alas. Now she knew why their seats were so good. It turned out that someone deliberately did it. I can't take it anymore, Icy said impatiently. While speaking, he actually sneezed, and coincidentally, the sneeze landed on Sun Meilin. Suddenly, Sun Meilin, who had yet to react, directly crossed the railing separating the audience seats and arenas and was sprayed onto the inner area of the competition venue. Moreover, she landed in a position with her legs upright. And coincidentally, she was wearing a skirt for the sake of beauty and exposed everything to the audience clearly. Everyone who saw this scene was stunned at first. Then laughter and discussions resounded throughout the entire venue. Ha! What a funny fall. Old Zao laughed hysterically with tears in his eyes. This little princess of the Sun family doesn't have a very good figure. Look at the flesh on her waist. It's almost as thick as my waist. Her legs are quite thick, and her chest isn't big enough. It seems like this second beauty only has a passable face. I didn't come for nothing today. At this moment, Zhou Kuan glared at Leng Ruoxue and the others and roared at the audience, "Be careful of your heads if you continue spouting nonsense." Unfortunately, there were too many people in the audience, and their discussions were loud, so no one heard Zhou Kun's words. "President Zhou, you should quickly send people down to save your cousin. If she doesn't get up soon, she might not be able to participate in the competition. Alas, the ground is so cold." Lan Ming reminded kindly, but his face was full of a gloating smile. "Hee hee, good job, little Icy." He cheered for little Icy in his heart. "Just you wait. The Sun family won't let you go," Zhou Kuan threatened Leng Ruoxue and the others. With that, he brought his subordinates into the inner area to save Sun Meilin. Alas, we're being threatened again. Leng Ruoxue sighed softly and helplessly. Alas, the cute little Icy is also threatened. Icy mimicked Leng Ruoxue's tone, but his beautiful blue eyes were full of excitement. He loved being threatened. "Are you two really scared?" Lan Ming asked doubtfully. He didn't notice any feelings of fear from their tone at all. "How can I not be afraid? The Sun family." That's the Sun family, one of the three great families, a colossus of the boundless heaven continent, and I'm just a small elementary mystic, Leng Ruoxue said very seriously. "That's right. I'm just a little beast. I can't afford to offend the Sun family." Icy frowned with a very serious expression. "Continue pretending." Lan Ming was speechless and grumbled in his head. He had never seen a little beast that could send someone flying with a sneeze. Sun Meilin was an elementary mystic. She wasn't made of paper. "Boo! Little Snowy, you have to protect me." Icy's blue eyes welled up with tears as he sobbed. Leng Ruoxue didn't say anything, but she kept shooting glances at Icy, wanting to remind him that his acting was too much. "Just keep it to the point. Little Snowy, what happened to your eyes?" Icy asked foolishly with tears in his eyes. "My eyes are blurry." Leng Ruoxue gave a random reason. Alas, I really don't know if Icy is smart or stupid now. "Oh, the wind is a little strong. You have to be careful," Icy reminded. Alas. Lan Ming turned his head weakly, no longer looking at Leng Ruoxue and Icy. He was too inexperienced compared to these two cunning foxes, and he admitted defeat. "Welcome, Mystics. The grand competition held by our Mystic Association headquarters every 5 years is about to begin officially today. This is the largest turnout of mystics participating in the competition throughout history. I hereby represent the Mystic Association headquarters to congratulate every mystic in advance on achieving good results." Chapter 376, You Are the Dog, the Watchdog, 6. In addition, I have another piece of good news to tell everyone in advance. First place in this year's competition will be accepted as President Wu's personal disciple, so everyone, please work hard. At this moment, the host's voice sounded from the inner area of the competition venue, and this also indicated that the competition was about to begin. The moment the host finished speaking, the audience immediately erupted in applause. The representatives of the various branches participating in the competition were even more excited. "Little Lon Lon, why didn't you tell me that first place will be accepted as a personal disciple by that fellow surnamed Wu?" Leng Ruoxue said with some dissatisfaction. She wanted to win first place, but she didn't want to become someone's disciple. That fellow wasn't qualified to be her master. I just found out too. But usually, first place in the competition will basically be accepted as a disciple by the president of headquarters, Lan Ming explained. "Oh, looks like this person surnamed Wu intends to replace him. Little Lon Lon, if your master doesn't come out, this Wu guy will control the headquarters in the future." "No, it will be controlled by the Sun guy," Leng Ruoxue said understandingly. This Wu guy's ambition was obvious, and he was closely related to the Sun family. Alas! My master, Lan Ming frowned helplessly. Of course, he also hoped that his master could leave seclusion early. But he couldn't go to the secret room to drag his master out if his master didn't come out himself. Moreover, he couldn't enter either. Your master better not come out of seclusion now, or I will definitely bite him, Icy said impatiently. Icy wouldn't let Lan Ming's master go after he managed the Mystic Association headquarters to this extent. Lan Ming didn't know what to say. Why does this puppy always want to bite master? How did master offend this puppy? Master, take care. There's a puppy waiting to bite you outside. While Lan Ming was letting his imagination run wild, the competition officially began. For today's matches, there were a total of 10 arenas, and matches would take place at the same time. The participating representatives would go on stage in accordance with the prearranged order. The winner would advance directly, and the loser would have to compete in another round. Old Zhao, you're the first to go on stage among us. All the best. Lan Ming reminded old Zhao as he looked at him. Yes, don't worry. It'll definitely start with a bang for everyone, old Zhao promised with a smile. He might be the weakest among them, but he was an artificer. He had long prepared a secret weapon. Moreover, he had several dragons, so he wasn't afraid of any opponents at all. Lung Ruoxu's gaze had been watching every move on the field. The 10 groups currently fighting on the field were not very strong. But the one who made her take a second look was the man in his early 30s on Arena 9. The man was tall, had an ordinary appearance, and wore ordinary clothes. Although his strength was only at Mystic, the aura on his body was not at all inferior to the elementary mystic he was fighting. So Lung Ruoxue believed that this man would definitely be able to amaze the world and become a powerhouse above everyone with time. As for his opponent, even though he was an elementary mystic, he likely ranked at the bottom among elementary mystics. So Lung Ruoxue was more optimistic about the ordinary-looking man in their group. Little Lon Lon, who are those people on Arena 9? Lung Ruoxue asked curiously. Let me take a look. That man is from Thousand Willow City, and the other person is from Sun Zhou City and Zhou Kun's group, Lan Ming said as he looked at the name list in his hands. Oh, Lung Ruoxue answered lightly and stopped talking. Little Snowy, which one do you think is better? Lan Ming asked curiously. He didn't believe that this girl was just asking casually. That linen-clothed man, Lung Ruoxue said calmly, ignoring the unfriendly gazes of Zhou Kun and the others not far away. Your vision is really not good. That man from Thousand Willow City is only a mystic. How can he beat an elementary mystic? This is too funny, someone from the Sun Zhou City's Mystic Association said with a displeased face. Little Snowy, do you really think that man from Thousand Willow City will win? Lan Ming also said in disbelief. On the boundless heaven continent, wanting to defeat the strong as the weak was very difficult. Lung Ruoxue ignored the Sun Zhou City's mystic and said to Lan Ming with a chuckle, Little Lon Lon, want to bet? Okay, what do you want to bet on? Lan Ming said with interest. 10 million purple gold coins. Give me 10 million if I win. If I lose, you can pay me 10 million less. How about it? Lung Ruoxue said with the expression of the big bad wolf tempting Little Red Riding Hood. Lan Ming was a little speechless when he heard this bet. Why is this girl thinking of amassing wealth all the time? He had really never seen such a materialistic person in his 30-odd years of life. They'll bet with you. But if you want to bet, bet big. How about 100 million purple gold coins? The mystic from Sun Zhou City just now jumped out impatiently with a provocative face before Lan Ming could answer. Okay, I have no objections. But are you sure you can take out 100 million? Lung Ruoxue asked with a light smile. How could she not want someone rushing to give her money? Of course I do. Do you know who I am? Why wouldn't I be able to fork out 100 million purple gold coins? The mystic roared furiously. Damn ugly monster. How dare she suspect that he couldn't produce the money? This was simply the greatest humiliation to him. His family was one of the wealthiest families apart from the 3 great families. He would definitely crush this ugly monster with money later. To be honest, I really don't know who you are. This young lady only recognizes money and not people. If you want to bet with me, take out 100 million purple gold coins first. Otherwise, go wherever you want to go. Lung Ruoxue said without negotiation. Okay, isn't it just 100 million? It's simply a drop in the bucket for this young master and not worth mentioning. The mystic took out a silver card that was usable across the entire continent and handed it to Lung Ruoxue for her to check. Chapter 377. The Bet. 1. Lung Ruoxue took the card and casually glanced at it. Seems this guy is quite rich because this is actually an anonymous silver card. In other words, if this card was lost, then no matter who found it, they could use it. Lung Ruoxue sent her divine sense in and checked the balance. There was about 110 million purple gold coins inside. She was relieved and handed the card to Lan Ming for safekeeping. That's my card, the mystic couldn't help exclaiming when he saw his silver card going into Lan Ming's hand. I know. I'm just getting him to take care of it first because I'm afraid you will go back on your word. Lung Ruoxue said, almost infuriating the mystic to death. Sure enough, the mystic was almost angered to death by Lung Ruoxue, and he couldn't say a complete sentence even after a long time. You asked Su Heng to take out 100 million purple gold coins. Shouldn't you also take out 100 million so that we can be at ease? Zhou Kuan said. Moreover, his feminine face was wearing a bloodthirsty smile, as if he wanted to swallow them alive. Probably. But my guarantor is Lan Ming. If I can't pay, you can ask him for it. Lung Ruoxue dragged Lan Ming into the water unceremoniously. Moreover, what she implied was that they could not trust her, but couldn't they trust Lan Ming? Alas! Lan Ming, beside her, sighed. He really wanted to cry in his heart. What did this have to do with him? Why did she drag him into it? He was very innocent, okay? Do you need Lan Ming to take out 100 million purple gold coins to reassure you? Lung Ruoxue asked very innocently while blinking. No. There's no need. I believe President Lan won't renege on the debt, the mystic, Su Heng, hurriedly said. He knew that his president didn't get along with Lan Ming. However, the president could go against Lan Ming and look for trouble with him everywhere, but he didn't have the guts. President Zhou, as the actual parties involved, we have no objections. Do you have any objections? Lung Ruoxue said with a spurious smile as she looked at the gloomy Zhou Kuan. Moreover, her meaning was obvious. She was telling Zhou Kuan not to be a busybody. I have no objections. Zhou Kuan looked at Su Heng resentfully. Your president doesn't seem to have a good temper. Do you want to consider changing your branch? Lung Ruoxue asked understandingly. But she was thinking, Su Heng? What's his relationship with the Su family? No. There's no need. Our president is a good person, Su Heng quickly said with a pale face. Alas. Look at how scared you are. It's most likely because you've suffered under President Zhou's abuse for a long time. You don't even dare to resist anymore, Lung Ruoxue said in realization, her face full of pity for him. No, it's really not. Su Heng wanted to explain, but Lung Ruoxue didn't give him a chance. There's no need to explain. I understand everything. Alas. What a pity. Lung Ruoxue sighed heavily and stopped talking. Then she turned her gaze to the arena. Not far away, Su Heng was so depressed that he wanted to bang his head against a wall. Ooh, how could this be? What happened? He was a little lost. Lung Qingtian and the others smiled silently. In fact, they were already laughing in their hearts. Alas. This girl's ability to trick people was really unparalleled. At this moment, the battles on the other arenas had already ended except for Arena 9. The fight on Arena 9 had also entered an exciting stage. Freak, we're going to get money, Lung Ruoxue said happily as she leaned in Freak's arms. Hee hee, 100 million purple gold coins. This was the reward for first place in the competition. She didn't expect to earn it so easily. Lass, can you buy me some materials when you have money? Old Zhao's eyes glittered as he looked at Lung Ruoxue expectantly. What materials? Lung Ruoxue looked at old Zhao doubtfully. They already had enough materials, so why did he still want to buy more? I need some flowing golden sand. We don't have much left, old Zao explained. This thing is very expensive. 2 drops of cold sweat dripped down Lung Ruox's forehead. Why does old Zao always want good things? 100 million purple gold coins probably can't buy much flowing golden sand. Old thing, you want to spend all the money that little girl worked so hard for? Old man roared with displeasure while glaring at old Zao. Although he wasn't an artificer, he knew the value of the flowing golden sand very well. This thing was basically sand, but it was golden and produced in the deep sea. It was very difficult to mine, so it was very expensive. It is useful. Lass, you have to believe me. Old Zao said aggrievedly. Don't we still have more? Isn't there enough? Lung Ruoxue asked in puzzlement. Not enough. I need a lot of it to refine the equipment I want, old Zao explained. Oh, then let's ask Blackie later to see if he has any. If not, well buy more, Lung Ruoxue said after some thought. Lass, you definitely won't regret it, old Zao said mysteriously. Lung Ruoxue nodded slightly and shifted her gaze back to the stage. The first 10 matches of the competition finally ended with the linen-clothed man's final strike on Arena 9. Although the linen-clothed man won the final victory by defeating the strong as the weak, he also paid a tragic price and was seriously injured. It was still unknown whether he could participate in the competition tomorrow. It's only the first round. Do they have to work so hard? Old Zao was a little speechless. If they lost, there was still a chance. Why did they have to work so hard? He really couldn't understand. This is a good opportunity to soar into the sky. Any normal person will want to grasp it, Lan Ming said. Little Lan, do you mean that we're not normal people? Lung Ruoxue said with a mischievous smile. That's not what I mean, Lan Ming said fearfully. He really thought so, but he didn't dare to say it out loud. Boo! He realized that his guts had become smaller and smaller since he met Lung Ruoxue and the others. Why did he suddenly become so useless? Chapter 378, The Bet 2, Little Snowy, this is the money you won. Lan Ming quickly handed over the silver card in his hand, hoping to divert Lung Ruox's attention. Lung Ruoxue waved the silver card in her hand and said to Su Heng, the outcome has been decided. I won. There's more than 100 million purple gold coins inside, Su Heng said furiously through gritted teeth. Yes. I'll return the change to you. Lung Ruoxue smiled nonchalantly. There's no need. I don't care about that bit of money, Su Heng said gloomily. He was just angry that this woman was so smug. Thank you, Lung Ruoxue said lightly and whispered a few words in Jing En's ear. Then Jing En left his seat. Shuer, where is Jing En going? Freak asked curiously when he saw Jing En leave. Where do you think? Lung Ruoxue said mysteriously. Could it be? Freak raised his eyebrows slightly in realization. Alas, he already guessed it. Buddha said, not allowed to say, Lung Ruoxue said like a charlatan. The matches on the arenas continued in full swing. Lass, it's my turn, old Zao suddenly said when the matches for the day were almost 1/3 done. Good luck. I'll wait for your good start, Lung Ruoxue said calmly. No problem. Leave it to me, old Zao said confidently. Then he strutted up the stage proudly. You're just a mystic. How dare you be so arrogant? Su Heng snorted coldly not far away, and his voice drifted into Lung Ruoxu's and the others' ears. Surnamed Su, shall we continue gambling? Lung Ruoxue smiled provocatively. Fine. Who's afraid of you? Su Heng, who couldn't stand being provoked, said hot-headedly. How much money do you have? Lung Ruoxue asked worriedly. Su Heng looked at Lung Ruoxue vigilantly and asked nervously, what do you want? Don't be scared. I don't want to rob you. I just want to bet a bit bigger. What do you think? Lung Ruoxue comforted with a smile. Su Heng looked at Zhou Kuan and then asked, how big do you want to bet? Tell me how much money you have before I decide on how much to bet. Lung Ruoxue had already set a trap and was waiting for her prey to take the initiative to jump in. I still have 1.2 billion purple gold coins on me. Su Heng said. Oh, we have a total of 8 people now. We will all go on stage to compete in a while. Each match will be 100 million. For every correct guess, the loser will have to pay the winner 100 million purple gold coins. If you guess all 8 matches correctly, I will pay you 1.2 billion purple gold coins, and vice versa. What do you think? Do you dare to bet? Lung Ruoxue asked calmly. What's there to be afraid of? Don't regret it if you lose, Su Heng said confidently and proudly. He had already received President Zhou's eye signal just now, so he was very confident that he would definitely win. Since I proposed this bet, I'll let you choose. But before you choose, I have to check your money because I'm afraid of you lying to me. Lung Ruoxue said very seriously with the word worry written on her face. Open your eyes wide and take a good look. I have a lot of money. Su Heng threw Lung Ruoxue another silver card without hesitation. After receiving the silver card, Lung Ruoxue did the same thing. She checked it and handed it to Lan Ming. Is President Lan your guarantor again? Su Heng asked gloomily. He couldn't understand why he couldn't get his money back after he took it out. He really couldn't accept it. You've become smarter. All right, you can choose now. Lung Ruoxue smiled happily. Earning money is really too easy. Lan Ming looked at the silver card in his hand and looked at the foolish Su Heng, whom Lung Ruoxue had schemed against, with some pity. How dare you bet with this little fox? It would be strange if you didn't lose everything. Lung Ruoxue was already listed as an extreme danger in his heart now. Of course, I bet on you losing, Su Heng said loudly without hesitation. Since you're betting that we will lose, then I can only bet that we will win. Grandpa, you heard our bet, right? Lung Ruoxue turned to look at Lung Qingtian and the others. Yes, we will try our best. Lung Qingshan's mouth twitched helplessly. Granddaughter, this move of yours is really too ruthless. However, they were indeed short of money. All right. Lung Ruoxue was very satisfied with the reactions of her grandfather and the others. Wait, Su Heng took out 1.2 billion. What about you? What if you don't have money? Zhou Kun couldn't help interjecting again. President Zhou, the parties involved have no objections. Why are you being nosy? Lung Ruoxue said coldly. Moreover, I have a guarantor. Do you think President Lan can't pay 1.2 billion purple gold coins? Lung Ruoxue continued to ask. Damn it. Do you know who you're talking to? Sun Meilin, who forgot how she had suffered earlier, couldn't help saying. Little Snowy, I want to sneeze again, Icy said lightly, scaring Sun Meilin so much that she quickly shrank into her seat, afraid that she would be sneezed on again. Little Icy, bear with it. Lung Ruoxue caressed Icy's head and comforted him with a smile. While they were speaking, the battles on the stage had already begun. Old Zao was on Arena 2. Although his opponent was an elementary mystic, and Old Zao had just advanced to mystic not long ago, the opponent's strength was only slightly higher than his. On Arena 2, Old Zao's not very big eyes were looking at his opponent with a bright glow. Although his opponent was an elementary mystic, Old Zao had many means, so he wasn't afraid of this person. Admit defeat, the elementary mystic said as if he was bestowing a gift. I should be the one saying that, Old Zao said calmly. Chapter 379. The Bet. 3. Don't you know that there's a difference between us? You are bound to lose, and your life might be in danger, the mystic reminded seemingly kindly. But in his heart, he hoped that the old man in front of him would admit defeat himself so that he wouldn't have to fight. Moreover, he could conserve his energy and focus on the next match. So what? Wasn't there a battle just now where the weak defeated the strong? Old Zao said nonchalantly. But that person can't participate in the later rounds at all. His injuries are so severe. So what if he won? The mystic continued persuading. It's better to win than to lose. Are you going to fight or not? Don't waste my time. Just admit defeat if you don't want to fight, Old Zao said impatiently. Damn, some of the fights were already over, but his opponent was still beating around the bush. Since you want to die so badly, I'll fulfill your wish. The mystic was angry. He even felt that his good intentions were treated as ill intent. It would have been better if you were this straightforward earlier. Then old Zao immediately launched an attack directly. His fiery red mystic power pounced at his opponent like a fire dragon. The mystic hurriedly used an earth attribute mystic skill to block the fire dragon's attack. At the same time, he summoned his contract beast, planning to fight 2 against 1. His contract beast was a giant black snake of about 100 meters long, with a thick snake body that coiled around the arena. Its cold snake eyes were staring at old Zao. "Did you have a beast? Don't I have one?" Old Zao was unwilling to be outdone and also summoned a beast. He glanced at his opponent's beast disdainfully. "Just an ugly, lousy snake. How dare it show off? That's impossible. How can you have a dragon as a contract beast?" The mystic asked in disbelief as he looked at the dragon flying in the air. This was a genuine dragon. Dragons were definitely at the top among beasts. Moreover, the one in front of him was actually a fire dragon, which had a higher status among dragons. This dragon's strength wasn't much higher than his ink snake, but the innate bloodline advantage of dragons was incomparable to that of ordinary beasts. Just as he thought this, the giant ink snake fell into a daze after seeing that its size was inferior to the dragon's enormous body. After returning to its senses, it dropped its head without any might or power, and its giant snake body was trembling. Although they were both level 3 divine beasts, the bloodline of dragons was much higher than its bloodline. This innate bloodline pressure was something it couldn't resist at all unless its strength was much higher than this dragon's strength. Otherwise, it wasn't a match for this dragon at the same level. "There are many impossible things in the world," old Zao said nonchalantly. "Are we still going to continue fighting?" Old Zao asked immediately. "No, I admit defeat," the mystic said. "How could he fight now? Didn't he see that his ink snake didn't even dare to raise its head in front of the fire dragon?" "Good. Those who know the facts are smart. You have prospects," old Zao praised. But he was feeling smug. It was really too easy to win this match. "Referee, I admit defeat," the mystic said to the referee. The referee nodded and announced loudly, "Old Zao, victory." Old Zao won his first match, jumped off the stage happily, and jogged back to his team. "Alas, I won." Old Zao smiled joyfully. Lung Ruoxuan nodded slightly and then glanced at Su Heng before turning her gaze to the stage. "It's only right to win. What's there to be so proud of?" Old man said coldly. He didn't like this old fellow being too proud. "I'm talking to Lass. Why are you interrupting?" Old Zao roared back in displeasure. "Stop arguing. Don't let outsiders laugh at us. You only won 1 match, and we still have to win 7. It's too early to be happy now," Lin Liang said. "What do you mean?" Old Zao's face was full of question marks as he looked at Lin Liang. "Ruoxue made a bet with someone, so we have to win all of them," Lin Liang explained calmly with a very strange expression on his face because he was very sure that if Su Heng bet that they would win, the girl would definitely make them deliberately lose. "Oh, then what's the bet?" Old Zao was very curious. "If we win all 8 matches, that Su Heng will lose 1.2 billion purple gold coins to us," Lin Liang said. 1.2 billion? Ha! Old Zao was stunned for a moment before laughing hysterically. This girl is really too evil. We're going to be rich this time. The unlucky Su Heng actually dared to bet with our girl. It would be strange if he doesn't go bankrupt this time." Not far away, Su Heng's face darkened as he mocked. "You're really inexperienced. You only won 100 million. Do you have to smile so happily? You who have seen the world, don't cry later," Old Zao reminded kindly. "This young master can still afford to lose this bit of money," Su Heng said nonchalantly. He was a direct descendant of the Su family after all. Would he be lacking this bit of money? That's good. Old Zao sat down in his seat and ignored Su Heng. The matches continued. An hour later. "Okay, little Jing Jing, it's your turn. Come on. 1.2 billion. Old Zao reminded with a beaming smile as he gestured for victory. "Yes, it can't run away from us." Feng Jing's serious face was full of confidence. After nodding at Leng Ruoxue and the others, Feng Jing strode forward calmly onto the arena. Feng Jing's opponent was also an elementary mystic. But this elementary mystic was very underhanded, because this elementary mystic attacked as soon as Feng Jing walked onto the arena, which was akin to a sneak attack. In fact, for true powerhouses, launching a sneak attack on their opponents was very shameful behavior. But as the saying went, all is fair in war and love. So despite this behavior not being worth advocating, it was allowed in the competition of the Mystic Association headquarters. Moreover, in the opinion of the Mystic Association, the existence of such behavior would also better increase the vigilance of mystics. Therefore, an increasing number of mystics liked to play dirty in order to win the competition. Chapter 380, You're Blocking the Way, 1. Feng Jing was about to climb the last step onto the arena when he suddenly felt a piercing cold light coming at him. He dodged the attack and jumped onto the arena with a light spin. On the arena, Feng Jing's pitch-black eyes stared coldly at his opponent. The aura on his body was not at all inferior to that of the elementary mystic. Feng Jing originally didn't intend to kill anyone. Although he was addicted to martial arts, he wasn't a bloodthirsty person. Moreover, he had always felt that since it was a competition, he should stop when the outcome was determined. Why take someone's life? But the actions of this person in front of him had completely angered him, so he didn't intend to show mercy. After making his decision, Feng Jing immediately retaliated. In the audience, Leng Ruoxue and the others stared intently at Feng Jing on the arena. This kid is quite smart. Old man nodded with satisfaction. Leng Ruoxue looked at Lan Ming and asked lightly, People can die in the competition, right? Lan Ming braced himself and answered, He silently mourned for the mystic for 3 seconds in his heart. Alas! What an unlucky fellow! Of all the people you could provoke, you just had to provoke this extremely protective girl. After receiving an affirmative answer, Leng Ruoxue stopped talking and focused on the match. Feng Jing directly summoned his pet beast after a series of crazy explosions on the arena. Wow, another dragon! Someone in the audience shouted as they looked at the dragon that appeared on the arena again. Damn, since when did dragons become cabbages? Someone cursed jealously. At this moment, the audience was in a mess, and no one could calm down. Lan Ming was also a little dumbfounded as he looked at the giant beast in the sky above the arena for a long time. After returning to his senses, he couldn't help reaching out to wipe the cold sweat on his forehead. What the heck? Leng Ruoxue and the others actually have 2 dragons. Dragons were very proud spirit beasts, and they had never bothered to contract with humans. Moreover, dragons were so powerful that no one dared to compel a contract with them at all. Alas! He really didn't know how they did it. Little Snowy, you didn't tell me that you have 2 dragons as contract beasts. Lan Ming complained while looking at Leng Ruoxue resentfully. What's there to show off about? Leng Ruoxue asked nonchalantly. I've never heard of any powerhouse who could contract with a dragon on the boundless heaven continent, Lan Ming said very seriously. Alas! Can this girl's reaction be more normal? Why is she so calm? That's because you're too inexperienced. Dragons are nothing special, Icy, who had been sleeping with his eyes closed, suddenly said. Lan Ming was very depressed. This puppy actually said that he was too inexperienced. Boo! How did I end up being despised by a puppy? Ah! Little Icy said it so well. Leng Ruoxue couldn't help laughing when she saw Lan Ming deflated, and she caressed Icy's soft fur. At this moment, Feng Jing had already ended the battle. His opponent had been crushed into a meat patty by his enormous dragons and couldn't be more dead. After the referee announced that Feng Jing had won, he hurriedly jumped off the arena and returned to Leng Ruoxue and the others. I've completed the mission. Feng Jing sat down. That's 200 million already, Leng Ruoxue reminded Su Heng. They only won because of the giant dragons. That can't be considered true ability at all, Su Heng said angrily. In fact, he was really jealous of these 2 old men's good luck. How could these 2 people possess dragons? They were only mystics. Aren't pet beasts a part of your strength? If you have the ability, can't you also contract a dragon? Don't say the grapes are sour just because you can't eat them. Lung Ruoxue mocked indifferently. Don't be too smug too early. There are still 6 matches. The opponents behind you are the real tough ones. Those in front are weak, Su Heng retorted, unwilling to be outdone. He really hated these ugly monsters to death now. But he was very confident that they would definitely not win the next few matches. Thank you for the reminder. This young lady is waiting to collect the money, Lung Ruoxue said with a smile. Little girl, I'm going on stage. Old man said. Okay, be careful. Lung Ruoxue reminded. They had to be vigilant now that they had the experience from Feng Jing. Old man stood up and slowly walked onto the arena. It only took Old Man around 10 minutes to defeat his opponent without even using his beast. Then after the referee announced the result, he returned to his seat impatiently. Then Lin Liang went on stage. He also won easily without using his beast. Immediately after, it was the Feng family's first elder's turn to go on stage. Although it took a little effort, the result was still satisfactory. After his dragon appeared, the audience in the venue was directly thrown into chaos. Ruoxue, we have 500 million in our pockets now, right? The Feng family's first elder asked directly after getting off the arena. Yes, there are still 3 matches. If we can win all of them, we will have 1.2 billion, Lung Ruoxue said with a light smile. Hee, earning this money is really too easy. The opponents of the remaining 3 matches are very strong. You definitely won't be able to win, Su Heng said angrily. Damn it. Why are these people so lucky? They actually won every match. He was so angry. What if we win? Do you want to raise the stakes? Or does anyone dare to bet with me? Lung Ruoxue looked at Zhou Kuan and the others not far away provocatively. Raise the stakes? Su Heng looked at Lung Ruoxue as if she was a monster. He had gambled a few matches with her, but in the end, all the wealth he had accumulated over the years had entered her pocket. He didn't have any money left to gamble anymore. Moreover, he didn't dare to gamble with her anymore. His greatest wish now was that they could lose even one of the 3 remaining matches. At least, that would leave him with a few 100 million. Chapter 381. You're blocking the way, too. What? Does no one dare to bet with me? You lot are really timid. Lung Ruoxue continued provoking them after seeing them not react for a long time. They'll bet with you. How much? Sun Meilin shouted loudly, unable to take it anymore. She didn't want to be looked down upon by an ugly monster. Moreover, she didn't believe that these ugly monsters would win all of the next 3 matches. Of course it's still 1.2 billion. Do you have it? Lung Ruoxue looked at Sun Meilin doubtfully. They'll bet double that, no, make it 3 billion. Do you dare to bet? Sun Meilin roared furiously. Lung Ruoxue's skeptical gaze really made her uncomfortable all over. Since you're not afraid of losing, why wouldn't I dare to bet? Lung Ruoxue said calmly. She was gaining something without risking anything of her own. There was no reason for her not to want someone willing to give her money. Ugly monster, you're bound to lose, Sun Meilin said confidently as if she could already foresee the scene of her stepping on Lung Ruoxue and humiliating her in every possible way. Let's not talk about winning or losing first. Same rules. Bring the money here. I want to check it first, Lung Ruoxue said with a smile. You ugly monster. Don't tell me you think I'll renege on paying. Sun Meilin roared in disbelief. Damn it. No one had ever dared to treat her like this on the entire boundless heaven continent except for this ugly monster. She really hated Lung Ruoxue to the core now. 3 billion is not a small sum. I won't bet with you if you can't take it out, Lung Ruoxue said coldly. Plus, don't make things difficult for her. Although she's the little princess of the Sun family, it seems like she really won't be able to take out 3 billion. Old Zhao said very understandingly, but he was already laughing in his heart. This money is really too good. The remaining 3 were the strongest among the group, so this money was simply like picking it up from the ground. Yes, Ruoxue, forget it. Let's not make things difficult for Miss Sun, Lin Liang said righteously as if he was really thinking for Sun Meilin. Swear, let's not bet anymore. The last 3 matches will be tough battles. We really don't have much confidence in winning, Leng Qingtian also advised, his resolute and handsome face carrying a hint of worry. After hearing what the 3 of them said, Sun Meilin angrily took out her silver card and handed it to Leng Ruoxue. Who said I can't take it out? Leng Ruoxue took the silver card, checked the balance, and handed the card to Lan Ming. She couldn't help sighing in her head. Alas, these aristocratic families are really too rich. Giving billions of pocket money to their descendants casually is really too extravagant. Lan Ming took the silver card again. His heart was already a little numb because of the growing feeling in his heart that Leng Ruoxue and the others were really too abnormal. Boo! Why do I feel like a failure compared to them? President Zhou, aren't you going to bet? Leng Ruoxue turned her gaze to Zhou Kun, whose face was black, and asked lightly. Moreover, she was a little surprised that Zhou Kun didn't stop Sun Meilin this time. Wasn't she his cousin? I'm not interested. Zhou Kun's face darkened with displeasure. That's too bad. Leng Ruoxue's face was full of regret. Swear, I'm going on stage. Freak suddenly said. Yes, Freak, you have to work hard. 3 billion is waving at us, Leng Ruoxue said with a light smile. Don't worry. I won't disappoint you, Freak promised. He would find a way to pluck the moon for Shuer even if she wanted it, let alone a mere victory. After speaking, Freak strode onto the arena. Do you know who his opponent is? Sun Meilin asked gloatingly. I don't care who he is. Anyway, my man will never lose, Leng Ruoxue said confidently. She knew Freak's strength very well. This guy didn't only know how to wheedle her. Anyone who dared to underestimate him would be in trouble. You're very confident. Unfortunately, his opponent is a lunatic who won't stop until he kills his opponent, Sun Meilin said without even caring if Leng Ruoxue wanted to know. As for your opponent, he's a famous genius on the boundless heaven continent. So you two are in the same boat on this point. The opponents are so strong. I want to see how you two can win. Sun Meilin was so smug in her heart. It was as if she had already seen the dawn of victory. Just as Sun Meilin said, Freak had indeed fallen into a fierce battle. On the arena, Freak looked at his opponent coldly. His opponent was a middle-aged man in his 40s, and he was an elementary mystic. But this person was obviously stronger than Lin Liang's and the others' opponents. He should be the strongest among the opponents they had encountered so far. Moreover, this person's attacks were very ruthless, and many of his attacks were trying to kill Freak. But Freak easily resolved them, and this completely angered this person. Damn it. Why do you keep hiding? The middle-aged man roared furiously. This man in front of him was as slippery as a fish. He had used many methods, but he actually couldn't do anything to this man. This made him a little flustered and exasperated. Why wouldn't I dodge? Do you think I'll let you beat me up? Freak said with a smile that wasn't a smile, and his black eyes emitted a terrifying glow. He acted relatively relaxed compared to his opponent, and he seemed to be playing with his opponent like a monkey. You're not allowed to dodge. Let's have an upright fight, the middle-aged man said, half ordering him. Upright fight? Then what were you doing before? Freak sneered and mocked. This man's methods were very vicious. He actually wanted to fight fair and square with him. How laughable. That's called preemptive strike, understand? The middle-aged man said nonchalantly. His fiery eyes stared at Freak like a venomous snake, wanting to kill him. Since you've said so, I'll fulfill your wish. Freak smiled evilly and finally decided to attack. He who asked him to receive his dearest wife's urging gaze. A stream of pitch-black mystic power coiled around the middle-aged man's body like a shadow, binding him tightly. The middle-aged man didn't even have the time to react. Chapter 382. You're blocking the way, 3. Damn it. What move is this? Let go of me quickly. The middle-aged man roared in anger. He tried his best to break free from the black mystic power binding him, but he couldn't break free at all. You've been jumping around for long enough. It's time to calm down, Freak said lightly. Then he used his favorite fist attack again. He clenched his fist tightly and hit the middle-aged man. Soon, the middle-aged man was beaten into a bloody person. Everyone in the audience was dumbfounded when they saw Freak's violent means. They were all mystics, so they knew very well that no mystics would give up on using mystic skills and use physical attacks in melee. This was absolutely not the thinking of a normal mystic. At this moment, Freak had been gloriously included in their abnormal range. Time passed slowly. Freak was also a little tired from fighting, so he sat down on the arena and said, "I'm tired. I'll rest before I continue fighting." Not far away, the referee couldn't help rolling his eyes. He had been in the Mystic Association headquarters for many years, but he had never seen anyone resting during a match. Moreover, he had to continue beating his opponent up after resting. Alas, what's going on? Referee, he fainted. What should I do? Freak looked at the referee with an innocent look in his eyes. You won, the referee announced loudly as he looked at the bloodied and defenseless figure lying on the arena. He wiped the cold sweat off his forehead. Damn, this man is really too violent. Freak had already left a deep impression of being a violent man in his heart. There were two ways to determine the winner of a match. One was for the opponent to admit defeat voluntarily, and the other was for the opponent to not have any ability to fight back. Of course, there was a time limit for this, and it had to be more than 10 minutes. Simply put, the opponent had to be down for more than 10 minutes. Otherwise, as long as he could still stand, the end of the match couldn't be determined. The unlucky man was obviously defeated through the second method. Schwer, I won. Freak hugged Lung Ruoxue happily after returning to his seat. Yes, you did well, Lung Ruoxue praised generously. She glanced at Sun Meilin and smiled slightly. What's there to be so smug about? There are still 2 matches. Sun Meilin roared furiously. Lung Ruoxue looked at Lung Qingtian and the others beside her and asked lightly, Am I being smug? No, everyone said in unison, infuriating Sun Meilin. I'll let you be smug for a while. The one who laughs last is the winner, Sun Meilin said stubbornly. Then she turned her head to the side and ignored Lung Ruoxue and the others. Lung Ruoxue and the others naturally ignored her. Why didn't you use mystic skills? Lan Ming asked curiously. Yi Chen's method shocked him. It was really too violent. I used them. Didn't you see? Freak blinked, his expression very innocent. I mean later on. Why did you use your fists? Lan Ming rolled his eyes at Freak. He had a deep understanding of Lung Ruoxue and the others' ability to pretend to be stupid. I want to preserve my strength. Aren't there still many rounds later? I don't want to expose myself too early, Freak said matter-of-factly. Oh. Lan Ming nodded slightly. Freak's words were quite reasonable. The competition continued. Some were happy, while others were sad. But it couldn't stop the competition from advancing. When the first round of the competition was about to end, it was finally Lung Qingshan's turn to go on stage. Lung Qingtian nodded at everyone and walked onto the arena with his head held high. His opponent was a young and beautiful woman. Moreover, her strength was on par with his, and she was also an elementary mystic. But this woman kept looking at him seductively as soon as he came up, making him very disgusted. On the arena, the young woman smiled seductively and said softly, Please show mercy. You talk too much. Let's begin. Stop wasting time, Lung Qingtian said coldly. You really don't know how to be protective of the fairer sex, the young woman said resentfully. She had always been very confident in her appearance, but she didn't expect to kick an iron plate today, making her feel very embarrassed. You talk too much nonsense. Lung Qingtian said impatiently and took the lead to attack. In the audience, Old Man was laughing so hard in his seat that he was about to cry. Ha! Bratling actually encountered a honey trap. What a pity! That woman's efforts were in vain, Old Man said with a smile. How was Lung Qingtian someone who knew how to be protective of the fairer sex? Using a honey trap on him was equivalent to playing the lute to a cow. Moreover, that fellow hated such scheming but self-righteous women the most. Little Lon Lon, is this woman very strong? Lung Ruoxue asked curiously while looking at Lan Ming. Lan Ming sighed softly and explained, her name is Yen Shuer, and she is the 5th-ranked beauty on the boundless heaven continent. Her strength is on par with your grandfather's. But she has many means to deal with men. Many powerhouses have knelt under her skirt and obeyed her orders. Do you think she can seduce my grandfather with that bit of beauty? She's not even as good-looking as my maidservant. Lung Ruoxue said disdainfully. It was said that beauty was a woman's greatest weapon, and she couldn't care less if it was used on others, but using it on her grandfather wasn't something she could tolerate. Little Snowy, Yen Shuer has many powerhouses by her side, Lan Ming couldn't help reminding her. What he implied was that she shouldn't provoke her. Unfortunately, how could Lung Ruoxue do as he wished? Would someone who didn't even care about the little princess of the Sun family be afraid of Yen Shuer? If she doesn't provoke me, I naturally won't take the initiative to cause trouble, Lung Ruoxue said lightly. While the two of them were talking, Lung Qingtian had already defeated his opponent cleanly on the arena. It was the first time Yen Shuer had been carried off the stage. Chapter 383, You're blocking the way for, wow. This person really doesn't know how to be protective of the fairer sex. He's actually willing to be ruthless to such a great beauty. That's right. But watching a beauty get beaten up is also quite enjoyable. After Lung Qingtian won, the audience erupted in an uproar. Many people discussed it and more people gloated. Lung Qingnan walked down the arena calmly and was about to return to his seat when he was stopped by a tall, burly man as he passed by the audience aisle. I want to challenge you, the burly man said angrily, his deep eyes full of killing intent. Wow, Yen Shuer's lover is going to avenge her. A mystic monarch is actually challenging an elementary mystic. How embarrassing. The audience began to discuss again, and Lung Qingtian learned the identity of the man in front of him from the gossip. This mystic monarch was that woman's lover. But they were on the arena just now, and it didn't matter if they were dead or alive. But now that he was off the arena, Lung Qingtian really didn't have much patience to tangle with him. Move aside. You're blocking the way. Lung Qingtian said with cold eyes. So what if he was a mystic monarch? He didn't believe that a mystic monarch would dare to kill him in public. I told you, I want to challenge you, the burly man repeated, unwilling to give up. In order to avenge his woman, he didn't even care about his identity and the rules of Carefree City. I refuse. Lung Qingtian said coolly and wanted to bypass the burly man. But the man blocked him like a small mountain. Don't you dare to accept the challenge? I've never seen a mystic as cowardly as you, the burly man provoked with contempt. I've also never seen a mystic as shameless as you. A mighty mystic monarch is actually challenging me, an elementary mystic, and even asked if I dared to accept the challenge. I really don't know if I'm an idiot or you're an idiot. Lung Qingtian said coldly in a somewhat overbearing manner. He was a great general after all. As the saying went, you shouldn't lose your manners even if you lose. Although he was not as strong as this man, he absolutely couldn't lose in terms of imposing manner. Lung Qingshan's words resonated with many people in the audience. On the boundless heaven continent, things like the strong bullying the weak were not uncommon, and many people didn't have Lung Qingshan's imposing manner, boldness, and guts. So at this moment, they were rather impressed and respectful of Lung Qingtian because he spoke their innermost thoughts. Grandpa, what's the matter? Lung Ruoxue walked over with freak after sensing the strangeness. It's okay. I just met someone blocking my way, Lung Qingtian explained softly and signaled his granddaughter with his eyes to be at ease. Lung Ruoxue looked at the unfamiliar burly man and said lightly, seems like he's not a good dog. Ugly monster, who are you calling a dog? The burly man was furious when he heard someone calling him a dog. Isn't there a saying that good dogs don't block the way? Of course, it's about the person blocking the way, Lung Ruoxue explained with a smile. You're courting death. The burly man was angry and casually released a mystic skill. But the mystic skill failed to come out as he wanted. What? Could it be that you have too little mystic power and can't even release your mystic skill? Alas, you have to cultivate properly. Don't challenge others all day for a woman. Be careful not to kick an iron plate and even lose your life, Lung Ruoshua advised earnestly like an elder, her watery eyes still carrying an expectant gaze as if she had high hopes for him. The burly man was stunned by Lung Ruokshua's lecture. Even the audience close to them was dumbfounded for a moment. They exclaimed in their heads, "Damn! This woman is really too awesome. She even dares to educate a mystic monarch. Grandpa, let's go back to our seats," Lung Ruoshua said. Before she left, she looked at the man who was still in a daze with slight disappointment. "Okay." Lung Qingtian suppressed his smile and followed his granddaughter back to their seats. As for the burly man, when he returned to his senses, Lung Ruoshua and the others were long out of his sight. An hour later, "It's my turn," Lung Ruoshua said as she stood up from her seat. This was already the last 10 matches of the first round. She didn't expect her to appear so late. "Little Snowy, you have to be careful," Lan Ming said worriedly. "Don't worry. Little Snowy won't lose a strand of hair with me around," Icy promised. "I advise you to admit defeat directly on the arena. You're not Su Nan's match at all." Sun Meilin finally spoke again after a long silence. Moreover, she had an expression of consideration for Lung Ruoshua. "Thank you for your reminder. But retreating without fighting isn't my style," Lung Ruoshua said lightly. Since Su Nan was a genius, she had to experience it even more. How could she come on the arena and admit defeat directly? With that, Lung Ruoshua left her seat and jumped onto the arena proudly. On the arena, Lung Ruoshua looked at her opponent indifferently. Su Nan was about 20 years old. He had a handsome appearance, a tall stature, a pair of dignified tiger eyes, and the aura of an aristocrat. It was said that he was the best among the younger generation of the Su family and one of the top 10 geniuses on the boundless heaven continent. His strength was at elementary mystic. As for the Su family, even though it was slightly inferior to the 3 great families, they could also be considered a top family on the boundless heaven continent. Su Nan was also the Su family's internally designated next successor. Su Nan was also looking at his opponent thoughtfully on the arena. The woman in front of him was the ugliest woman he had seen in his life. But his intuition told him that this woman was very dangerous, so he didn't dare to underestimate her at all. Moreover, before he went on stage, Sun Meilin had specially sent someone to tell him that he had to win. Although he didn't know why she said that, winning every match was his life's greatest goal. Therefore, Sun Meilin's actions were really unnecessary in his opinion. After all, they were not familiar with each other. Chapter 384, Lung Ruoshua vs. Su Nan. "Can we begin?" Su Nan asked. "Yes," Lung Ruoshua replied lightly. "Are you releasing your pet beast too?" Su Nan continued asking, implying that he would release his beast if she did. "No. Icy, watch the battle by the side first," Lung Ruoshua said softly as she looked at the lazy Icy. "All right then." Icy reluctantly jumped down from Lung Ruokshua's shoulder and found a random corner to lie down on the arena. "You can start first," Su Nan said graciously. "Then I won't be polite. Take this." Then the aura on Lung Ruokshua's body suddenly changed. She instantly used a mystic skill in her hand, and several streams of red and purple mystic power pounced at Su Nan like fire dragons. When Su Nan saw the raging fire dragons, he hurriedly used a water attribute mystic skill, the water curtain skill known for its defense. But his water curtain was unable to block the fire dragon's attack. Before long, his water curtain was evaporated by Lung Ruokshua's fire dragons. Su Nan looked at everything in front of him in disbelief and was dumbfounded. But he quickly returned to normal and hurriedly added the earth attribute mystic skill, Iron Wall, in a vain attempt to block Lung Ruokshua's fire dragons. Moreover, what made him depressed was that the temperature of Lung Ruokshua's fire attribute mystic skill was so high. He really couldn't understand it. Lung Ruoxue looked at the tall wall that suddenly appeared on the arena calmly and smiled slightly. Several tiny streams of green mystic power floated out along her fingertips and directly flew toward the wall. Green mystic power? I really didn't expect you to have the wood attribute, Sunan said gloomily. Wood attribute mystic skills happened to be able to restrain his earth attribute mystic skill. But his water attribute mystic technique just now was unable to restrain Lung Ruoxue's fire attribute one. This fact made him very conflicted. You're lucky. This is the first time I'm using this 1,000 threads, Lung Ruoxue replied with a light smile. I'm not fighting anymore. I admit defeat, Sunan said in a self-aware manner. After several clashes, he knew that it would be very difficult for him to defeat Lung Ruoxue. After all, they were of equal strength. Moreover, every mystic skill she used subdued him, but he couldn't do anything to her. So there was no point in continuing the fight. It was better to admit defeat early, preserve his mystic power, and prepare for the additional round. Lung Ruoxue, victory. The referee immediately announced loudly after Su Nan admitted defeat. He didn't expect the match that he originally thought would be a fierce battle was the fastest to decide the winner. Thank you for letting me win, Lung Ruoxue said politely. She picked up Icy and was about to walk down the arena when she heard an extremely angry voice coming from the audience. Damn it. Sunan, how dare you go easy on her? Sun Meilin roared furiously while wanting to skin Lung Ruoxue alive. 3 billion. That was 3 billion. It was enough to buy a small city, but it was gone so easily. How could she be willing? Miss Sun, even if you are the little princess of the Sun family, you can't insult the dignity of a mystic, Sunan said with a dark face full of displeasure. Why else would you lose to a woman? Sun Meilin asked angrily. She was sure that Lung Ruoxue must have used improper means. Otherwise, Sunan wouldn't have lost. Haven't you heard that there is always someone better? I'm not her match. Admitting defeat is the smartest choice, Sunan explained while suppressing his anger. He wouldn't have had to suffer so much to explain to her if he didn't have to worry about Sun Meilin's identity. After all, he had to think about his family. Ignore her. She's just a sore loser, Lung Ruoxue said softly as she glanced indifferently at the furious Sun Meilin. A sore loser? Sunan's face was full of question marks. The loser seemed to be him, right? What did it have to do with Sun Meilin? Your admission of defeat allowed me to win 3 billion from her, Lung Ruoxue said happily. Sunan was speechless. No wonder Sun Meilin was so angry. After all, whoever lost 3 billion would definitely not be in a good mood. But he couldn't be blamed for this. He was indeed not Lung Ruoxue's match, and he couldn't fight to the death just because of a competition. After speaking, Lung Ruoxue walked down the arena with light steps in an incomparably happy mood. After returning to where Lung Qingtian and the others were, Lung Ruoxue deliberately glanced at Sun Meilin and said lightly, Miss Sun, admit your loss. I hope you are a person who can afford to lose. You have to learn from Su Heng on this point. Look at how calm he is. In fact, poor Su Heng wasn't calm at all. He was simply dumbfounded. Of course I can afford to lose. It's only 3 billion. It's just a drop in the ocean for our Sun family, Sun Meilin said fiercely through gritted teeth as she glared with her beautiful eyes that were shooting flames. She had never hated someone so much in her life, and Lung Ruoxue really made her hate her. She would definitely never let her go. I hope so. Little Lan Lan, can we go now? Lung Ruoxue turned her gaze to Lan Ming. Okay, this is for you. Lan Ming nodded slightly and handed her 2 silver cards. Thank you for safekeeping them for me. Lung Ruoxue took the silver cards and stored them directly in the bracelet. Then the group left the competition venue in a grandiose manner. Cousin, why didn't you help me just now? Sun Meilin roared furiously after watching Lung Ruoxue and the others leave. There are so many people here. What can I do? Do you want people to say that we're bullying others? Zhou Kun coaxed helplessly. In fact, he hated this cousin of his to the core, but he had to deal with her for the sake of the family. Cousin is right. This place is indeed inconvenient. After calming down, Sun Meilin also thought it through. Since it was inconvenient to attack in Carefree City, she could only teach that ugly monster a lesson on the stage. This was her original idea, but it was even more urgent now. Lung Ruoxue. Don't blame me for being ruthless. You asked for it. Who asked you to make me angry? Chapter 385. Lung Ruoxue vs. Su Nan Tu. After leaving the venue, Lung Ruoxue and the others returned to their residence. Little Snowy, you have to be careful. Sun Meilin probably won't let you go, Lan Ming nagged like an old mother as everyone gathered in the living room. She originally didn't intend to let me go anyway, right? Lung Ruoxue said with a disapproving smile. There was no need to worry about debts. The Sun family seemed to have the most affinity with her since she came to the boundless heaven continent. Windless City involved the Sun family, and now that she came to Carefree City, she was actually entangled with the Sun family. Alas. In fact, she was also quite depressed. Her current strength was too low after all. Yes, Icy said before Lan Ming could answer, shaking his head non-stop. Lung Ruoxue caressed Icy's little head and asked curiously, Little Lan, can we know our opponents in tomorrow's matches now? No, we will draw lots again before the competition tomorrow, Lan Ming said with a serious expression. Alas. He didn't know what would happen tomorrow. But he didn't dare to say anything in order not to affect their mood. He only hoped that they would be careful tomorrow. Then is it possible to tamper with the lot drawing? Lung Ruoxue asked thoughtfully after some thought. If Sun Meilin wanted to find trouble with her, the greatest possibility would be to tamper with the lot drawing. In principle, it's impossible, but Lan Ming's expression was a little unnatural. In fact, this was what he was worried about the most. After all, the current headquarters was under Wu Gong's control. It was difficult to guarantee that he wouldn't do something unfair to curry favor with the Sun family. Little Snowy, don't be scared. I will protect you, Icy said ingratiatingly. They'll protect my woman. Go play somewhere else, Freak said with some displeasure, his body faintly emitting a sour smell. You're too weak. Icy obviously looked down on Freak. Is that so? Then do you want to try my fist? Freak narrowed his eyes provocatively, his pitch-black and bright eyes exuding a dangerous aura. I don't want to. You're a violent man, Icy said fearfully. For some reason, this man gave him a dangerous feeling, and his intuition told him to stay away from danger. Stop bickering. Let's get some food and rest early after eating, Lung Ruoxue said helplessly. Eating is good. I like eating. Icy immediately cheered and jumped up. Boo! He ate casually at noon, and he was so hungry now. After hearing what Lung Ruoxue said, everyone got to work and began preparing dinner. After dinner, everyone returned to their rooms to rest. The next day, at the competition venue. As soon as Lung Ruoxue and the others entered, Lan Ming, who came to the venue to draw lots first, appeared in front of them with a serious expression just like yesterday. What's wrong with you? Did someone bully you? Lung Ruoxue couldn't help teasing. Lan Ming was about to say something when old Zhao interrupted him. Our opponents are very strong again, right? Old Zhao said in realization. It's good to be stronger. I can test the power of my new weapon. He had no use for it yesterday. Alas. Lan Ming sighed softly. Even though he had expected this reaction from them, he was still a little depressed. Moreover, their opponents today were not strong but just very difficult to deal with. Let nature take its course. Lung Ruoxue only said 5 words before pulling Freak to where they were yesterday. Lung Qingtian and the others naturally followed closely behind. Lan Ming was stunned for 2 seconds and hurriedly followed. You're in luck today. Your opponents aren't that strong. Sun Meilin's voice sounded from the seats nearby just as Lung Ruoxue and the others sat down. Is that so? Then our luck is really good. Lung Ruoxue smiled lightly and said with slight mockery. Would Lan Ming have that heavy expression if our opponents were really not powerful? Only a ghost would believe her. Of course you're lucky. Even I envy you. Sun Meilin seemed to be in a good mood. What a pity. Luck isn't something to be envious about. Lung Ruoxue's tone was very calm. She turned her head to the other side and couldn't be bothered to talk with her anymore. Soon, the host of the competition went on stage. After some encouraging words, he announced the start of the day's competition. Today was the second day of the mystic competition. After yesterday, nearly 1,000 mystics entered the next round. After the competition officially began, the atmosphere in the venue rose rapidly, and it was actually even more enthusiastic than yesterday. There seemed to be more spectators today than yesterday? Lung Ruoxue asked curiously while looking at the dense crowd in the audience. The competition venue was very spacious and had many seats, enough to accommodate tens of thousands of people. But because it was the first day of the competition yesterday, only about half of the audience seats were occupied. Almost 2/3 were occupied today, and every spectator that could enter the venue had to be a mystic. "Isn't this all because of you?" Lan Ming teased. "What does it have to do with us?" Lung Ruoxue was puzzled, her face full of question marks. "A considerable number of mystics came today for your dragons. On the boundless heaven continent, almost no one can contract with dragons. So, do you think it has anything to do with you?" Lan Ming raised his straight eyebrows. "Seems like it's really because of us," Lung Ruoxue said helplessly. No wonder she felt that those people were looking at them strangely. So it was for their dragons. Yes. By the way, our matches today are closer to the front. Lan Ming looked at everyone. "That's great. We can go back early today," old Zhao said happily. The competition of the Mystic Association headquarters was really too boring. He wouldn't have participated if it wasn't for the money. "Then let's end this quickly today." Lung Ruoxue nodded. "Little Snowy, your opponents today might not be as strong as yesterday's, but those few people are very difficult to deal with. Moreover, they don't have a good reputation among mystics, and they often use despicable means, so be careful." Lan Ming reminded worriedly, his two straight eyebrows almost furrowing together. Chapter 386, Lung Ruoxue vs. Su Nan, 3. Editor, Atlas Studios. Everyone nodded tacitly and stopped talking. They each thought about their strategy for today. Soon, Lung Ruoxue and the others went on stage one by one. After going on stage, Lung Ruoxue, Freak, Lung Qingtian, Lin Liang, and Old Man defeated their opponents very cleanly. Only Old Zhao and the other two encountered some trouble. But they finally defeated their opponents and obtained hard-won victories with the help of their beasts. 5 days later, Lung Ruoxue and the others all entered the top 100 of the competition. After the top 100 were decided, the competition would be on break for 3 days to give all the mystics time to adjust their states. At the residence of Lung Ruoxue and the others, everyone was busy in the yard, preparing a sumptuous dinner, which was rare for the past few days. After everything was ready, everyone ate heartily. "Ha! Little Snowy, I haven't congratulated you all for entering the top 100 yet." Lan Ming said happily. "Hee, the competition these few days was really too enjoyable." Lung Ruoxue and the others were in the limelight. But he knew that this wasn't what they wanted, so they would immediately return to their residence after their matches for the day. Moreover, they refused to meet anyone under the pretext that they wanted to conserve their strength. "It's only the top 100. What's there to congratulate?" Lung Ruoxue glanced at Lan Ming nonchalantly. She was going to get first place, and she was only in the top 100 now. Boo! It looked like there were still several rounds. Moreover, it was said that the further the competition reached its end, the more complicated the steps of elimination were, and the slower the speed. Unless you could win every match, there would be no end to your competition. Unsatisfied girl, the top 100 is already very impressive. Lan Ming smiled helplessly. "My goal is first place," Lung Ruoxue reminded. But she didn't want to become Wu Gong's disciple. Moreover, that spot probably wasn't prepared for her. "Little Snowy, you have now become the dark horses of the competition, and many forces are eyeing you now. Moreover, the methods Sun Meilin will use will likely become more and more intense." Lan Ming sighed worriedly. During the competition these past few days, Sun Meilin had given them a lot of trouble. However, Lung Ruoxue and the others had easily resolved them. He was worried for Lung Ruoxue and the others every time he saw the vicious gaze in Sun Meilin's eyes after her schemes failed. But these people didn't take it seriously at all. Alas, he was really a little helpless. Little Lon, well, deal with whatever comes our way. Worrying won't be able to solve any problems, so calm down. Lung Ruoxue said nonchalantly. To be honest, if Carefree City didn't prohibit private fights and Sun Meilin had too many people protecting her, she would have probably quietly gotten rid of her long ago. How could she let that crazy woman plot against her time and again? That's right, President Lon, that woman is a lunatic. Don't worry too much, old Zhao said casually. He, others might not know what the girl was capable of, but did he not know? Sun Meilin wouldn't be able to do anything with the girl around. While everyone was eating and chatting, someone knocked on the door. Zheng'en, go see who's here. Lung Ruoxue ordered Zheng'en, who was closest to the door. Yes, Mississippi. Zheng'en stood up and walked toward the door. He returned a few minutes later. Miss, it's Qin Wei. Zheng'en said. Qin Wei? What is he doing here? Let him in. Lung Ruoxue said after some thought. Chen Wei was the linen-clothed man whom she had bet 10 million purple gold coins on the first day of the competition. After defeating his opponent, Chen Wei had been seriously injured and was originally unable to participate in the following competition. But she got Zheng'en to send Chen Wei medicinal pills to treat his injuries. After some hard work, Chen Wei also got into the top 100. Okay, miss, Zheng'en answered and went to the door to welcome Chen Wei in. Chen Wei thanks Miss Lung for your kindness. The first thing Chen Wei did after entering was to kneel on the ground and bow very gratefully. To him, Lung Ruoxue was his second parent. If not for her, he would have probably become a cripple. But Lung Ruoxue, who liked to keep a low profile, didn't see him even though he had come many times. So he didn't have any hopes of seeing her this time, but he didn't expect her to be finally willing to see him. Get up. Although I saved you, I really don't need your gratitude, Lung Ruoxue said lightly. She had always been casual in saving people. She would save those she found pleasing to the eye, and it was useless to beg her if she didn't like them. After all, she was not a savior. Miss Ling, you are my great benefactor. If not for your pills, I would have been a cripple long ago, so, Chen Wei was about to continue when he was interrupted by Lung Ruoxue. Your will is very firm, and you are very courageous, but you are a little too persistent. It will be disadvantageous to your growth if this goes on. Lung Ruoxue very clearly pointed out the weakness in Chen Wei. In fact, the reason she was willing to save him was mostly because of the rare aura of a powerhouse on Chen Wei's body. But she wasn't optimistic. Chen Wei didn't cherish his life in order to win. After all, in her opinion, nothing was more important than life. The outcome of the competition was only temporary. What was the use of winning the competition if he lost his life? Chen Wei has learned a lesson. Chen Wei knew that what Lung Ruoxue said made sense, but his desire to win at the time had been too strong, so he went astray. In fact, he was usually a very rational person. Chen Wei, why are you looking for me today? Lung Ruoxue asked lightly while her watery eyes stared at Chen Wei in front of her. I heard a piece of news, Chen Wei said and told Lung Ruoxue and the others the news he had heard. Thank you for telling me this news, Lung Ruoxue said gratefully. Miss Ling, you are too polite. You are my great benefactor. I wouldn't be human if I didn't tell you after hearing this news. Chen Wei smiled foolishly, his face a little embarrassed. After speaking, he left. Swear, Sun Meilin seems to hate us to the core. She actually, Lung Qingtian said with a worried expression. Chapter 387, Lung Ruoxue vs. Su Nan 4, Editor, Atlas Studios, Grandpa, don't worry. We're safe for now, Lung Ruoxue comforted. Little Tian, don't be afraid. I'll protect all of you, Icy said without looking up while eating the food in front of him. Why don't you settle down in Carefree City? No one will dare to do anything to you here, Lan Ming suggested. Even though many mystics wanted to settle down in Carefree City, The property prices here were quite high, so ordinary mystics could hardly afford to live here. But Lung Ruoxue had won so much money and could definitely afford the houses here. No, I don't want to live here. Lung Ruoxue declined Lan Ming's good intentions. She had discussed with her grandfather and the others some time ago that they planned to buy a relatively remote small city in the future as their residence. After all, they had a lot of people and many secrets that weren't good to reveal. But it's relatively safer here than outside, Lan Ming advised stubbornly. He was really worried about the safety of Lung Ruoxue and the others. There will also be hidden dangers in safe places. Moreover, this place is under Wu Gong's jurisdiction. If we live here, we could die without knowing why. How sad would that be? Lung Ruoxue didn't want to live in this seemingly safe place. They even had to be wary of some people now that they were staying in the headquarters. However, if they bought a house in Carefree City, those people might not dare to do anything openly, but that didn't mean they wouldn't dare to do anything. After all, the rules of Carefree City were dead, and the headquarters would probably turn a blind eye. They were merely weak mystics, so no one would uphold justice for them. After hearing what Lung Ruoxue said, Lan Ming was speechless. Alas, this girl might be young, but she's much more experienced in thinking things through than I am. Boo! He suddenly felt that he was really too useless and couldn't help much. Alas! Let's compete in peace first. We can discuss these things slowly, Lung Qingtian mediated. Some things really couldn't be rushed. Little Lan Lan, why is only Su Nan from the 10 great geniuses of the Boundless Heaven continent participating in the competition? Lung Ruoxue asked curiously, changing the topic. Although some of the mystics participating in the competition were very strong, they were not among the 10 great geniuses. So she really wanted to know what kind of strength the famous 10 great geniuses had now. Every mystic is allowed to participate in 3 competitions held by the Mystic Association headquarters at most. Most of the top 10 geniuses have already competed 3 times, and some have already advanced to Mystic Monarch. Thus, only Su Nan participated. But the other 9 geniuses should be coming to watch the competition in a few days, Lan Ming explained. How are the other 9 geniuses compared to Su Nan? Lung Ruoxue continued asking. Su Nan only ranks 8th among the 10 great geniuses. He's not very strong compared to the others. The most powerful among the 10 great geniuses should be Lung Wudi. He ranks first among the 10 great geniuses and is also the leader of the younger generation of the Lung family of the 3 great families, Lan Ming said lightly while staring at Lung Ruoxue strangely. His name is Lung Wudi, and yours is Lung Ruoxue. Don't tell me you're also from the Lung family? Lan Ming's handsome face was full of doubts. Does having the surname Ling mean you have to be from the Lung family? Lung Ruoxue asked instead of answering. Of course not. I'm just a little curious, Lan Ming said shyly. Hee, everyone had the gift of gossip. Lung Ruoxue rolled her eyes at Lan Ming. Then seeing that everyone was almost done eating, she said, Everyone, rest early after dinner. Everyone nodded, cleaned up, and returned to their rooms. 3 days passed quickly. On the morning of the 4th day, Lung Ruoxue and the others arrived on time to prepare for their matches today. As usual, Lung Ruoxue and the others went directly to their seats after entering the venue. Seeing them, the people from Sunzhou City sitting next to them revealed jealous and slightly hateful gazes. Lung Ruoxue looked at the people from Sunzhou City with a smile that was not a smile. Alas, these people are really too childish. Everyone was obviously a mystic, but they were hostile to them for the sake of a small association competition. But since they liked to be used by others, they asked for it no matter the outcome, so she wouldn't pity them. Not long after Lung Ruoxue and the others sat down, Lan Ming, who had gone to draw lots, returned. Of course, Zhou Kuan, who had a very gloomy expression, returned with him. Sunzhou City's Mystic Association had sent a total of 15 people to participate in the competition this time. But only 5 people entered the top 100 in the end. On the other hand, all of the participants from Windless City's Mystic Association, which Zhou Kuan had always been hostile to, entered the top 100, making him very uncomfortable. Moreover, he couldn't understand why they had all entered the top 100 even though he had clearly set up many obstacles. One had to know that the future of the mystics who could enter the top 100 would be very bright, and this would also affect his future as the president. Little Snowy, there are 10 groups in the first round today. If you can all win, there's no need to participate in the additional round, Lan Ming said happily. 10 mystics would be eliminated from today's competition. But he believed that it wouldn't be a problem for Leng Ruoxue and the others to advance to the next round with their strength. Moreover, the 3 weakest people still had dragons in their hands. Their powerful beasts were enough to let them sweep the entire competition. We will try our best to end the battles quickly, Leng Ruoxue said calmly. She had no intention of participating in the additional round anyway. It would be a waste of time. The strength of your opponents today is not much different from yours, Lan Ming continued while glancing at Zhou Kun. Leng Ruoxue and the others would be facing 3 mystics of Sunzhou City today. He didn't know if it was intentional or a coincidence. Okay. Leng Ruoxue nodded slightly. She leaned in Freak's arms, closed her eyes, and pretended to sleep. In fact, she wasn't at all curious about who her opponents were. After all, she had basically understood the strength of those people after competing for a week, so she knew very well that no one among them was her match. But even though she couldn't rule out the possibility that some people had hidden their strength, she wasn't afraid. Chapter 388, The Adorable Beasts Revealing Their Might. 1. Editor, Atlas Studios. Little Snowy, you're in the second group, Lan Ming said. It had been a week since the competition, and he was already used to their calmness, so he didn't expect them to have much of a reaction. Little Lan, there are so many spectators today, old Zhao said in surprise as he looked at the dense crowd in the audience. From today onward, the competition will become more and more exciting, so there will naturally be more mystics coming to watch it. Moreover, many top forces have sent people to watch the competition. Do you see the new main stage? The representatives of the top forces will be sitting on it. The big shots of the Mystic Association will also be attending the finals, Lan Ming explained. More and more people would pay attention to the competition as it progressed, and Leng Ruoxue and the others would also be targeted by more forces. But with Leng Ruoxue and the others' temperament, he knew that they would definitely be annoyed. Oh, little Lan, when will it be my turn? Old Zhao asked curiously. You're in the third group behind Little Snowy, Lan Ming said as he looked at the schedule in his hand. Oh, you'll sleep for a while then. Old man Zhao actually closed his eyes like Leng Ruoxue after speaking. Lan Ming looked at everyone and shook his head helplessly with a sigh. Alas, these people were really too carefree and not suitable to join any top force. Time passed by slowly, and after the host's routine opening speech, the competition officially began. The focus of today's competition was on Leng Ruoxue and the others because the audience was very curious whether they could still create the miracle of the previous few rounds and advance to the next round without any suspense. The 5 matches of the first group ended in dull silence. Little Snowy, it's your turn, Lan Ming reminded softly. Got it. Leng Ruoxue opened her eyes, stood up, looked at her grandfather and the others, and walked directly to the arena. After standing on the arena, Leng Ruoxue waited for a long time without seeing her opponent, which made her a little angry. She hated people who were late the most, even though she didn't know who this opponent was. Referee, why isn't my opponent here yet? Are we still competing? Leng Ruoxue asked with some displeasure, her watery eyes hiding an angry killing intent. Wait a minute. Your opponent should be here soon. We'll naturally judge you as the winner if he doesn't appear within half an hour. Don't worry, the referee comforted fearfully. Damn, this woman's eyes are really too terrifying. Boo, isn't that young lady harming me? Do you mean that I have to wait for another half an hour? Leng Ruoxue said coldly with narrowed eyes. Damn it. It was obvious that Sun Meilin was behind this again. These are the rules of the competition. If the competitor goes on stage within half an hour, it won't be considered forfeiting. Otherwise, it will be treated as forfeiting. The referee brought out the rules of the competition. You can't say anything now. Alas. Lung Ruoxue gave him too much pressure, making him abnormally nervous. Oh. Since I have to wait half an hour, I'll sleep first, Lung Ruoxue answered softly. She took out a recliner from her ring and placed it on the arena. She lay down and even summoned Charm. Then she hugged Charm in her left arm and Icy in her right arm and closed her eyes as if no one else was around. Lung Ruoxue's smooth movement dumbfounded the referee. What's going on? He had refereed so many matches, but this was the first time he had encountered a competitor who dared to sleep on the arena. The audience was dumbfounded because Lung Ruoxue's actions were really beyond their expectations. But her behavior also impressed them. This was really too bold. No one else would dare to do so. Schwer should have hugged me to sleep. Boo-hoo, Freak murmured with raging jealousy, his pitch-black eyes burning with roaring flames. At this moment he already hated the person who deliberately didn't appear. Thinking of this, Freak strode onto the arena. What does he want to do? Lan Ming asked dumbfoundedly as he watched Yichen get on the arena. Lung Ruoxue was already shocking enough. Now little Chen Chen actually joined in. Alas. He was really helpless. Lan Ming stole a glance at Lung Qingtan and the others and found that their expressions were as usual without any abnormalities. He couldn't help sighing in his heart. Alas. It seemed like he still had to train. Look at how calm these people were. He didn't know when he could be like them, able to watch mountains collapse batting an eyelid. On the arena. The referee looked at the man who suddenly went on the arena and was stunned. After recovering his senses, he questioned angrily, "Who are you? Who allowed you to come up?" "I'm her man. I'm here to accompany my woman," Freak said arrogantly. He ignored the referee's anger and walked directly to Lung Ruoxue's side. Under everyone's eyes, he also lay down as if no one was around. Then he stretched out his long arms and hugged Lung Ruoxue. "Damn it. Where do you think this place is?" The referee roared furiously, his face turning green with anger. This was really, really too lawless. Did these two people take him, the referee, seriously? There's no one competing anyway. We have to sacrifice a little to avoid the arena going cold. Freak said nonchalantly, his eyes emitting waves of killing intent. If it wasn't this place, I would have eliminated all the people who bullied Schwer. The referee was so angry that he couldn't say anything for a long time. On the main stage. "Who are these two?" A handsome and extraordinary nobleman in luxurious clothes asked the person beside him softly. This man was in his 20s. His appearance was incomparably handsome, his temperament was noble like a god, and his pitch-black starry eyes were bright and stunning. The woman is Lung Ruoxue, and the man is Yichen. They are from Windless City's Mystic Association. I heard that they are an engaged couple. The person beside the man was none other than Su Nan. Su Nan looked at the stage and sighed. Chapter 389. The Adorable Beasts Revealing Their Might 2, Editor, Atlas Studios Lung Ruoxue? These two are quite interesting. The nobleman's shiny black eyes revealed an interested expression. Yes, she has the same surname as you. Su Nan glanced at the man beside him. Lung Wudi was interested in Lung Ruoxue. He didn't know if this was a good or bad thing for that woman. But he knew very well that that woman wasn't someone others could control even though he had not interacted much with her. How's her strength? Lung Wudi asked casually. But his eyes were fixed on Lung Ruoxue and Yichen, who were on the arena and ignoring everyone else. Better than mine, Su Nan said gloomily. Alas. He didn't expect that he couldn't even defeat a woman. Boo. How sad. Oh. Who is her opponent in this match? Lung Wudi asked curiously. Lung Ruoxue was really calm. If it were anyone else, they would probably become angry long ago. But she could actually enjoy herself. It's really unbelievable. It's Bai Ru, Su Nan said while looking at the schedule in his hand. Bai Ru? Is that woman courting death? Lung Wudi frowned slightly and said with obvious displeasure. In fact, he didn't know why he was angry. Probably ordered by Sun Mei Lin, Su Nan said in realization. Sun Malin's methods are becoming more and more childish. She actually wanted to use such a method to make Lung Ruoxue angry. Unfortunately, she didn't care at all. Wasn't she sleeping on the arena? Do they have a feud? Lung Wudi asked in puzzlement, his handsome face full of question marks. I guess so. Su Nen explained the ins and outs of the enmity between Lung Ruoxue and Sun Meilin to Lung Wudi. He had sent people to investigate these things after his battle with Lung Ruoxue. The Sun family is really becoming more and more capable, Lung Wudi said with disdain. The Sun family has always been shameless. What's there to fuss about? Said another man in blue beside Lung Wudi. His gaze was also full of interest as he stared at Lung Ruoxue and Yi Chen on the arena. These two people really suited his taste too much. Even though their appearance was a little inferior, his impression of these two people wasn't bad. After speaking, the blue-clothed man felt the cold air around him intensify. But he ignored it because he was used to it. What? Do you want to see the world burn again? Lung Wudi said helplessly. His good friend was really. You're right. How can I miss out on fun things? Moreover, how can they be a match for the Sun family? This is too unfair to them, so I have to uphold justice, the blue-clothed man said righteously as if he was the embodiment of justice. Uphold justice? I think you're going to cause trouble. Lung Wudi exposed him rudely. The Lan family and the Sun family had always been at odds, and as the young master of the Lan family, Lan Lai naturally had to spare no effort in causing trouble for the Sun family. What? Can't bear for your fiancé to be bullied. The blue-clothed man, Lan Lai, raised his eyebrows provocatively. My fiancé? Lung Wudi's handsome face was full of question marks. Why didn't he know that he had a fiancé? Did his grandfather secretly arrange one for him? Impossible. His grandfather knew his character and shouldn't do such a thing. Sun Meilin, of course. Lan Lai smiled mischievously, his handsome face full of teasing. Sun Meilin had always regarded herself as Lung Wudi's fiancée. Unfortunately, the man didn't know about this at all. It's really too funny. When did this happen? Why don't I know? Lung Wudi was puzzled. When did Sun Meilin become his fiancée? It's been a long time. Everyone on the boundless heaven continent knows, except for you. Lan Lai said happily, his face about to bloom with laughter. Lung Wudi was a little depressed. So everyone on the boundless heaven continent knew except for him, the main character. Did the Lung family also know? No one actually told him this news. Actually, you don't have to be too depressed. She can't rely on you, Lan Lai comforted very kindly. Lung Wudi sighed helplessly and fell silent. His gaze was a little envious as he looked at Lung Ruoxue and Yi Chen on the arena. Alas, when will I be as carefree as them? 10 minutes. 20 minutes passed. Lung Ruoxue's opponent was still not on the arena. Lung Ruoxue lay comfortably in Freak's arms as if she didn't have a care at all, ignoring everyone present. Referee, she really doesn't care about such an important match. You should punish her by getting her off the arena. Sun Meilin, who had waited for a long time without getting the effect she wanted, finally couldn't help jumping out and criticizing loudly. Punish her by getting off the stage? Cold sweat dripped down the referee's forehead. This little princess of the Sun family really wasn't afraid. There was no rule that prohibited sleeping on the arena in the rules of the competition. Moreover, if he really punished Lung Ruoxue by getting her off the arena with such a reason in front of so many people, then he wouldn't have to stay in the Mystic Association anymore. Lung Ruoxue, who had been pretending to sleep with her eyes closed, raised her eyelids slightly and said calmly, What? Miss Sun, are you losing your cool? Lung Ruoxue, you really don't care about the competition? Sun Meilin roared again. She had already lost her mind from being angry with Lung Ruoxue. Of course, I don't care about the competition, Lung Ruoxue said softly. Referee, did you hear that? Hurry up and punish this ugly monster who looks down on the competition, Sun Meilin shouted, thinking that her scheme had succeeded. How is it enough to only care about such an important competition? I keep it in my heart. Lung Ruoxue deliberately paused, smiled lightly, and continued, teasing Sun Meilin like a cat catching a mouse. Damn it. That's not what you said just now. Sun Meilin roared without caring about her image. At this moment, she looked no different from a shrew. Chapter 390. The Adorable Beasts Revealing Their Might. 3. Editor. Atlas Studios. Miss Sun, you were too impatient. I didn't finish speaking, Lung Ruoxue said unhurriedly with a smile. Sun Meilin was about to go crazy from anger. She wanted to skin Lung Ruoxue alive. Miss Sun, how many times have I reminded you not to shout in public? You have to pay attention to your temperament. Alas, you will scare away the man you like by acting like this, Lung Ruoxue advised earnestly again. This Sun Meilin always came knocking on her door to be dealt a blow. She was a little embarrassed, but she was also quite bored. So why should she be polite since someone was willing to be abused? Sun Meilin was about to shout. But after Lung Ruoxue's reminder, she remembered Lung Wudi was sitting on the main stage and forced herself to bear with it. It's finally quiet. Lung Ruoxue sighed. Schwer, you don't have to care about those flies, Freak reminded her. I think so too. But some flies keep buzzing in my ears, making it impossible for me to sleep, Lung Ruoxue complained. Leave chasing the flies away to me in the future. Freak volunteered. Referee, how many minutes until the time is up? Lung Ruoxue answered and then turned her gaze to the referee. There are still 3 minutes, the referee said with a slight tremble while grumbling in his heart. Boo! If these two want to talk love, can they do it in private? He was under a lot of pressure standing beside them. Lung Ruoxue nodded and closed her eyes again. On the main stage. This woman is really too amazing. Lan Lai laughed happily. A mystic with no background actually dared to provoke the little princess of the Sun family. Her courage was commendable. He had to get to know such a brave woman. Otherwise, he would regret it. Hopefully, she's mentally prepared to receive the Sun family's revenge, a man in black on the main stage suddenly said coldly. Sun Teng, are you planning to take action against her? Lan Lai asked cautiously. He wouldn't let the Sun family destroy such a brave and interesting woman. I'm not that bored, but it's hard to say for Sun Meilin, the man in black named Sun Teng said coolly. If he really wanted to stand up for the Sun family, the first person he should deal with was Lan Lai. How could it be anyone else's turn? Sun Meilin won't amount to much, Lan Lai said disdainfully. Women who acted cockily just because they were pampered were forever only worthy of being pawns of the family, just like his cousin. She was beautiful, but she was a brainless fool. Don't underestimate a woman's ability. You will be doomed, Sun Teng reminded. That Bai Ru listened to Sun Meilin because of you, right? Lan Lai said in realization. Although the Lan family and the Sun family had always been at odds, he had a good relationship with Sun Teng. No one would dare to say this to Sun Teng except him. The women of the Bai family have nothing to do with me, Sun Teng said with some annoyance. Lan Lai laughed happily at Sun Teng's reaction. You should die laughing. Sun Teng looked at Lan Lai angrily. Isn't it time? Is that Bai Ru still not on the arena? Lan Lai looked at the time after laughing. She's already gone up, Lung Wudi reminded. Oh. Lan Lai's gaze turned to the arena. As expected, Bai Ru had already walked onto the arena. On the arena, Bai Ru stared at Lung Ruoxue with disdain. Embracing in public, you really don't know any shame, Bai Ru said mockingly in disdain. She had promised Sun Meilin that she would humiliate Lung Ruoxue, so she started finding trouble as soon as she got on the arena. Unfortunately, Lung Ruoxue, Freak, and even the two beasts ignored her. Hey, slut, I'm talking to you? Don't pretend to be deaf and mute, Bai Ru roared angrily because she could already feel that everyone's eyes seemed to be on her now. Moreover, there were actually sympathetic gazes among them. Damn it. What's going on? Why are they all staring at me? Were they charmed by my beauty? She guessed narcissistically. However, no human or beast bothered with her. Referee, are we still going to compete? Ru questioned the referee furiously. Let the match begin, the referee said with some displeasure, and he couldn't help cursing in his head. Fuck, what do these aristocratic young ladies think I am? Even a normal person will be angry. Moreover, I'm not their dog. Schwer, the match has begun. Freak whispered in Lung Ruox's ear. Darling, Dazzle, rise, come out and play with her for a while. Lung Ruoxue opened her eyes slightly and released Darling, Dazzle, and Rise at the same time. Then she ignored everything and closed her eyes again. Beloved master, leave this ugly woman to us. Darling rubbed against Lung Ruox's body coquettishly. Master, I will definitely play with her well, Dazzle promised solemnly. Hee, I won't let this ugly woman go. She has to pay the price for bullying Master. Master, this woman stinks. It's killing me, Rise said exaggeratedly. You damn beasts, you're really tired of living. Ru said through gritted teeth while glaring at the three small and cute beasts standing in front of her. She was about to attack, but she saw Lung Ruoxue suddenly summoning her spirit beasts, and these spirit beasts actually teamed up to humiliate her. She had never been humiliated by beasts in her life. So she would definitely not let these damn beasts who dared to embarrass her go. You are the beast. Your entire family is beasts, Dazzle said with a displeased face. Hee, we are the cutest beasts of our cute master. A humanoid beast like you won't understand, Darling said with contempt. Chapter 391, The Adorable Beasts Revealing Their Might, 4, Editor, Atlas Studios. Yes, humanoid beast, I want to destroy you on behalf of my master. Rise said seriously, his expression extremely serious. You, Ru was so angry that she couldn't speak. Ru calmed down slightly and ordered, Referee, what does she mean? Why is that ugly man still on the arena? Chase him and these few stray beasts quickly. The competition allows the use of spirit beasts, the referee said with a face full of black lines. Damn, this was the first time he had seen a beast with such a sharp tongue that could make people vomit blood. It was really too enjoyable. Moreover, he wasn't the only one with such thoughts. Almost everyone present had such thoughts. Some people even eagerly hoped that they would quarrel more because such a scene was rare. Lan Lai was the best example. After hearing the conversation between the beasts and Ru, he was already laughing so hard that he was almost rolling on the ground. These beasts are so cute. Where did Lung Ruoxue find them? Lan Lai said with a smile, his speech a little unclear. Isn't Lung Ruoxue planning to make a move? Su Nan murmured curiously. What would she do? If it were me, I wouldn't do anything either. These few beasts can anger the opponents to death, Lan Lai said happily. People whispered among themselves on the main stage and in the audience stands. Moreover, everyone had happy smiles on their faces. But on the arena, Ru was in a terrible mood. Lung Ruoxue, don't you dare to fight me? Ru was so angry that her chest was heaving violently, gloomy from the provocation. She really wanted to kill someone now. It's not that I don't dare. You're just not worthy, Lung Ruoxue said coldly with her eyes closed. What did you say? Say it again if you have the balls. Ru roared furiously, her beautiful eyes spitting flames. I'm sorry. I don't have those things, so of course I'm not speaking nonsense, Lung Ruoxue said calmly with a light smile. Her words made everyone burst into laughter again. Damn it. I won't let you go. Ru's heart burned with anger when she heard the mocking laughter from the audience. With a thought, a saber with a terrifying cold aura appeared in her hand. The saber wasn't large. The blade of the saber was about 1/2 meter long, and the handle was about the size of an adult's palm. But it was definitely a sacred artifact, and a good quality one from the aura it emitted. Wow, it's actually a sacred artifact. This family is really generous. An elementary mystic actually has a sacred artifact. The family has an artificer, so it's normal to have sacred artifacts. The moment Ru's saber appeared, it indeed caused a considerable stir in the venue. The audience was also discussing it. Some were envious, some were jealous. Ugly monster. You're dead meat. Bai Ru was very pleased with herself as she listened to the discussions. Moreover, she felt that she had regained some face. You are the ugly, old and stinky ugly monster. Darling roared furiously. She was obviously the ugliest, but she still dared to say that his beloved master was ugly. She really didn't know life from death. Damn it. You beasts are dead meat too, Bai Ru said fiercely with a ferocious glare. Brothers, let's go and destroy her on behalf of master. Dazzle said impatiently. This woman had been jumping around for too long. He really couldn't take it anymore. Okay. Darling and Rise nodded and immediately divided the work tacitly. The three little beasts pounced at Bai Ru together. Darling focused on her face, and his sharp little claws ruthlessly scratched her face. Dazzle was responsible for her upper body, and his equally sharp little claws scratched her body with all his might. Before long, the gorgeous clothes on her became beggar clothes. One by one, pieces of torn clothes flew and endless erotic sights kept sneaking out. Rise was in charge of her lower body. He used the sharp horn on his head to poke her legs. Damn it. Tet lost. Bai Ru screamed. The saber in her hand had long been thrown to the ground of the arena. Her dancing arms tried to capture the three little beasts doing strange things on her body. But the three little beasts were very agile, and they wouldn't stay in the same place for long before changing positions. Bai Ru was a little helpless. She endured the intense pain on her body and waved her arms to capture Darling and the other two beasts. At the same time, her body twisted vigorously in an attempt to shake off the three annoying little beasts sticking to her body, wanting to avoid their attacks. At this moment, she had long been flustered and only cared about fleeing all over the arena. She didn't even have the chance to fight back, and her body was already riddled with wounds. The referee, the audience, and everyone on the main stage stared at the funny scene on the arena with their mouths agape, dumbfounded. Heavens! It was too tragic. These three beasts were really strong. They tortured an elementary mystic to the point of almost dying without using any skills. Not only that, but they also embarrassed Bai Ru. Alas! She was the fourth-ranked beauty on the boundless heaven continent. She was destroyed just like that. Everyone sighed endlessly over this. Come on. Scratch her with all your might. Icy's excited cheer sounded from the side of the arena. Everyone in the audience was at a loss for words. At this moment, the understanding charm jumped from Lung Ruoxue's arms to the arena and picked up the saber that Bai Ruoxue had thrown on the ground. The saber wasn't very big, but it was several times larger than Charm's petite and cute body. Charm tapped the blade with his little paw and nodded with great satisfaction. This blade is passable. Charm's words shocked everyone again. Many people couldn't help grumbling in their heads, "You're a beast and don't even use weapons. What do you know about good and bad?" Chapter 392, The Adorable Beasts Revealing Their Might, 5, Editor, Atlas Studios. In fact, this was probably the root of the inferiority of humans. Many people felt that they were nobler than beasts and looked down on beasts. But what they didn't know was that in the face of absolute strength, life didn't have a hierarchy, no matter noble or low. Be it humans, beasts, or even all lives, all were equal. Let me see. Icy strode to Charm's side and took the saber from his paw. He looked at it several times and finally came to an important conclusion. This saber is too ordinary. Reforge it. With that, the little claw crushed the saber into a pile of crumbs. The claw that Icy deliberately revealed stunned everyone present again. After they reacted, the audience exploded once more. Damn, this puppy is too awesome. It actually shattered the sacred artifact. Is this a dog? What breed is it? I want one too. My idol. Everyone went crazy for the strong and awesome puppy. On the main stage. What do you think? Lan Lai looked at Lung Wudi and couldn't help asking. What happened on the arena just now really exceeded what he knew. I don't know, Lung Wudi said lightly. His bright eyes stared at the arena where Lung Ruoxue was. Although the battles on the other arena hadn't ended yet, it was obvious that everyone's attention had been snatched away by the arena where Leng Ruoxue was. Hey, don't you feel bad? Lan Lai teased Sun Teng again after seeing how boring Leng Wudi's reaction was. None of my business. My heart aches for the claws of those little beasts, Sun Teng said coolly and then ignored Lan Lai. You two boring men. Lan Lai complained, and his gaze returned to the arena. On the arena, Leng Ruoxue lazily opened her bright watery eyes, looked at the situation on the arena, and said lightly, let's end the battle quickly. Don't delay other people's competition time. Okay, beloved master, Darling replied and scratched harder. By Russ' current condition couldn't even be described with the word tragic anymore. Her face and body were covered in scratches, and the tattered clothes covering her body were on the verge of crumbling. The erotic scenery within was even more visible. No, we haven't beaten her down yet. Leng Ruoxue suddenly remembered something. She had to follow the rules on the arena. She wouldn't be judged as the winner until she beat her opponent down. Master, this woman would rather die than lie down, Dazzle said aggrievedly. It wasn't that they didn't work hard, but this woman was really too persistent. I see. Go and help too. Leng Ruoxue frowned in thought and summoned 2 silver wolves. Yes, master. The 2 silver wolves were excited. They had admired the scene on the arena for a long time in the space, and their claws were itching, hee. Freak, did my beasts become a little naughty? Leng Ruoxue looked at the 2 excited silver wolves, and 2 drops of cold sweat dripped down her forehead. Her beasts had skills, but why did they like to scratch instead of using them? No way, Freak said, but he couldn't help laughing secretly in his heart. Hee, this is what it means for beasts to resemble their masters. After the 2 silver wolves joined the scratching army, the 5 little beasts worked together and finally scratched the already tragic Bai Ru unconscious. Reporting to Master, this ugly woman has finally fainted, Dazzle said very formally. Well done. Leng Ruoxue praised with a very satisfied expression on her face. Leng Ruoxue looked up at the nervous referee, who was trembling a little, and asked while suppressing her smile, Referee, should I wait another 10 minutes? Why? The referee was so scared that he stammered a little. Boo! These beasts were really too terrifying. The audience was far away, so they absolutely couldn't see them as clearly as he did. He was really terrified. Moreover, his head was screaming non-stop, Don't scratch me! Don't scratch me! It was apparent that he was really badly scared. 10 minutes later, after the referee announced the result, he immediately escaped from the arena at lightning speed and disappeared without a trace. Why did he run so quickly? This referee is really too rude. The competitors haven't even left yet, but he ran away first, Leng Ruoxue said with some dissatisfaction. Ignore him. Let's go too. Freak said. Okay. Leng Ruoxue stood up, stored the recliner in the bracelet, and pulled Freak off the arena. Charm and the other beasts automatically lined up behind Leng Ruoxue. Icy also joined in the fun. Just like that, Leng Ruoxue and Freak walked in front, and behind them were 7 small, heroic, spirited, exquisite, and beautiful cute little beasts. The 2 of them and the 7 beasts majestically returned to their seats. We're back, Leng Ruoxue said happily. Little Snowy, you guys. Lan Ming really didn't know what to say. He only had one feeling in his heart, and that was valiant. Very valiant. Ha! Lass, you're so amazing. You won without even making a move yourself, old Zhao said proudly after laughing hysterically, as though he was the winner. She's not worthy enough for me to make a move, Leng Ruoxue said lightly while glancing at Sun Meilin. She might have shown mercy if Bai Ru hadn't deliberately left her hanging for half an hour. But since that woman was willing to be used by Sun Meilin, she had to be prepared to be unlucky. Leng Ruoxue wasn't someone who would be at the mercy of others. People had to pay the price for scheming against her. Lass, it's my turn. I'm heading out, old Zhao said with a nod. Okay, be careful, Leng Ruoxue reminded. I will. Old Zhao gave Leng Ruoxue a reassuring gesture and walked toward the arenas with excitement. After old Zhao arrived on his arena, he actually mimicked Leng Ruoxue and directly revealed his beast. His opponent admitted defeat without a fight under the might of his dragon. Chapter 393, The Adorable Beasts Revealing Their Might, 6. I won in no time. Old Zhao said with a smug smile after returning to his seat. Fast. Lan Ming said helplessly as 2 drops of cold sweat dripped down his forehead. He could now tell that these people were each lazier than the other. They actually did it as simply as they wanted. Moreover, if it were anyone else, they would have also won if they had a dragon as their pet beast. Feng Jing and First Elder Feng were in the 4th and 5th groups respectively. After they went on stage, they actually learned from old Zhao and directly revealed their dragons. As soon as the dragons came out, their opponents admitted defeat depressedly. In the area where Leng Ruoxue and the others were. Well done. Old Zhao was pleased to see Feng Jing and First Elder Feng imitating him. Yeah. Feng Jing replied. In fact, Feng Jing's idea was mainly that his opponent had about the same strength as him, so fighting would also be a waste of time. After all, he didn't lack combat experience, so there was no need to spend time on this. 3 more groups of matches were carried out, and Leng Qingtian, Lin Liang, and Old Man went on stage one by one. The 3 of them won against their opponents and obtained victory without much effort because their opponents were weaker than them. Swear, I'm the only one who hasn't gone on stage yet, Freak said aggrievedly, his starry eyes shining with tears. You're the finale. The important things are always kept for the end, Leng Ruoxue quickly comforted. Freak was in the 10th group, and his opponent was Sunzhou City's Ni Tao. Although that fellow was very strong, he was definitely no match for Freak. Prior to this, there were also 2 mystics from Sunzhou City who had fought against her grandfather and Old Man. However, these 2 people might be very strong to other mystics, but they were helpless in front of her grandfather and Old Man. The 3 of them were the strongest among the 5 mystics from Sunzhou City who advanced to the top 100. From this, it was evident the mystics sent by Sunzhou City's Mystic Association were really not of much quality. In fact, Leng Ruoxue had wronged Sunzhou City's Mystic Association. It wasn't that the mystics of the branch weren't strong, but that they were unlucky to meet Leng Ruoxue and the others, who were even stronger. After all, these mystics were definitely among the top 100 with their strength. Unfortunately, they just happened to meet these monsters such as Leng Ruoxue. This was probably Zhou Kun's miscalculation. He had never seen Leng Ruoxue's and the others' strength clearly. Half an hour later, it was finally Freak's turn. Swear, let's go back after I finish. Freak stood up and said to Leng Ruoxue with a smile. His voice happened to be neither loud nor soft, but it reached Ni Tao's ears nearby. Ni Tao glared at Freak and said furiously, "Beat me first if you want to go back. Don't be anxious. It will go as you wish." Freak smiled gently, infuriating him to death. Come on. Ni Tao glared fiercely at Freak and strode onto the arena. Swear, he's in a hurry to lose. I'm going. Freak kissed Leng Ruoxue gently on the lips and stepped onto the arena with a happy expression. On the arena, Freak used the same trick again. First, he tied Ni Tao into a dumpling with mystic power as thin as threads and then gave him a fierce beating. Ooh, you're too despicable. You're doing this again. Come at me with real swords and spears if you dare, stammered Ni Tao, whose face had been beaten into a pig's head. He was really depressed. He had obviously been guarding against this man using this move for a long time, but he still couldn't defend himself. Boo-hoo, what was this? This man used this move every match, but it was still impossible to guard against. How was this possible? Even racking his brains, he couldn't understand. I don't need a sword or a spear. My fist is enough. Freak deliberately misinterpreted Ni Tao's words and punched him in the mouth to prevent him from talking nonsense. Eha! Ni Tao couldn't help crying out in pain after Freak threw this punch. Who knew that the moment he opened his mouth, his teeth would start chattering and then collectively leave him, their master, as they escaped desperately. Freak added some color to Ni Tao's face and then attacked other places. Freak on the arena waved his fists to his heart's content, and the audience in the audience seats turned their heads one after another, unable to bear looking at the man who was beaten to such a miserable state. At this moment, the only thought in their heads was that the violent man's violent tendencies seemed to have escalated again. On the main stage, Lan Lai looked at the violent scene on the arena with his mouth agape and was speechless for a long time. "That man is so fierce," he couldn't help saying after returning to his senses. "Get used to it," Sunan said. At the same time, he prayed in his heart that he wouldn't meet this abnormal couple again. His body was too fragile, and he couldn't enjoy their intense torment. "I wonder which is harder, his fist or a sacred artifact?" Lung Wudi asked after a long silence. "Sacred artifact? Are you joking?" Lan Lai looked at his friend in disbelief. "Perhaps a divine artifact?" Lung Wudi said with a teasing smile on his face. "How is that possible?" Lan Lai was so excited that he almost jumped up. The best equipment on the boundless heaven continent now were sacred artifacts. Divine artifacts only existed in legends, and no one had ever seen one. Why not? The body of a mystic isn't made of paper. Do you really think ordinary fists can beat a mystic to such a state? Lung Wudi asked in return. Even so, you can't say that his fist is comparable to a sacred artifact, right? Isn't that a little too exaggerated? Lan Lai couldn't help saying, "I didn't say that. I just said that I don't know if his fist or a sacred artifact is harder." Lung Wudi's handsome face was full of innocence. In fact, he just suspected that the man named Yi Chen might have practiced some kind of fist technique. "Is there a difference?" Lan Lai said gloomily. Did his ability to understand deteriorate? Why didn't he seem to understand what Lung Wudi was saying? "Of course." Lung Wudi smiled. "I want to challenge him," Sun Teng suddenly said, his body releasing an intense fighting spirit. Chapter 394. The Adorable Beasts Revealing Their Might. 7. Did I hear it right? You're already a mystic monarch, yet you actually want to challenge an elementary mystic. Won't people laugh to death if news of this gets out? Lan Lai said with great disapproval. "I can control my strength to be the same level as him," Sun Ting said. "He still needs to participate in the competition. It's not appropriate for you to challenge him now," Lung Wudi reminded. Alas, although Sun Teng was from the Sun family, he was obsessed with martial arts. He wanted to challenge anyone with potential as long as he saw them. Unexpectedly, he was now actually targeting an elementary mystic. "I can challenge him after his matches are over," Sun Teng said resolutely. It had been a long time since someone had aroused his intense fighting spirit, so he would definitely not let Yi Chen go. "Then do you want to challenge Lung Ruoxue?" Lung Wudi suggested. "I don't challenge women," Sun Teng said coolly. He only liked that man. At this moment, Freak, who was happily bashing someone on the arena, didn't expect that he had already been targeted. On the arena, even the referee couldn't bear to continue watching Freak beating Ni Tao up. But the person himself didn't admit defeat. So with the principle of fair competition, of course he wouldn't call a stop. Moreover, he was afraid that if this violent man didn't have enough fun fighting, he would vent the excess violence on him. Therefore, he simply hid at the side and turned a blind eye. At the seats of Lung Ruoxue and the others, little Snowy, little Chen Chen's fists are really hard. Lan Ming couldn't help sighing. He probably wouldn't be able to take it if those fists hit him. "Okay, let's prepare to leave," Lung Ruoxue said happily. She also looked at Zhou Kun and his group, whose faces were green, beside them and laughed hysterically in her heart. Zhou Kun's heart must be aching to death. Ni Tao is his most powerful trump card. I'm afraid he won't even be able to participate in the additional round later. Ni Tao would have to officially withdraw from the competition unless there was a heaven-grade pill to treat his injuries. Zhou Kun and his group obviously saw it too. Unfortunately, they were helpless unless Ni Tao admitted defeat himself. "Cousin, quickly get Ni Tao to admit defeat," Sun Meilin said anxiously. If Ni Tao was eliminated, The people of Sunzhou City's Mystic Association could go home. Do you think I don't want to? He wants to hold on himself. What can I do? Zhou Kuan roared furiously. In fact, he really wronged Ni Tao. It was really not that Ni Tao didn't want to admit defeat, but he had been beaten silly and forgot that he could admit defeat. On the arena, Freak received his dearest wife's gaze and increased the strength of his fists. After dozens of beatings, Ni Tao finally fainted. Seeing that Ni Tao had fainted, Zhou Kuan and his group finally heaved a sigh of relief. Phew. Fortunately, he was still breathing. On the arena, referee, he fainted. Freak reminded, his face full of innocence. Yes. The referee nodded, thinking to himself that he did see it and that he wasn't blind. Boo-hoo. It was really too terrifying. A mighty mystic was actually beaten into a bloody mess by this violent man. I still have to wait 10 minutes, right? Freak found a clean place and sat down directly on the arena. Yes, 10 minutes will pass in no time. The referee's eyes were a little evasive, and he didn't dare to look at Freak at all. 10 minutes later, the referee officially announced Freak's victory. After announcing the result, Freak impatiently returned to Lung Ruoxu's side. Schwer, I won. Freak said happily, his bright black eyes blinking non-stop. Yes, you must be tired. Do your hands hurt? Lung Ruoxue asked with concern, her face full of heartache. A little. Schwer, that guy's body is so hard. Freak complained. Lung Ruoxue and Freak's words made the people from Sunzhou City beside them so angry that they almost vomited blood. They cursed in their heads at the same time. Fuck, is this how you bully people? You even asked if his hands hurt? And you still think that his body is hard? Could your hands hurt as much as Ni Tao? Could his body be harder than your fists? But they only dared to think these words and didn't dare to say them at all because Freak's violent image really penetrated too deeply into their hearts. They were too afraid. Little Lon Lon, can we go back? Lung Ruoxue turned her head to Lon Ming. Okay, let's go. Lon Ming said with a face full of black lines. Alas, these two people weren't only strong, but their ability to anger others was also top-notch. Lung Ruoxue turned her head to Zhou Kuan and his group and said with seeming concern, President Zhou, we're going back first. You have to work hard. You don't have to worry. Zhou Kuan said through gritted teeth, his heart full of hatred. Don't mention it. I'm just concerned about you. Lung Ruoxue ignored the anger of Zhou Kuan and the others. Then Lung Ruoxue and the others left the competition venue in high spirits. The 7 beasts naturally followed behind everyone in a very orderly manner. They strode forward with smug expressions on their faces. After returning to their residence, Lung Ruoxue and the others immediately returned to their rooms to rest. When they emerged from their rooms again, it was dinner time. Lung Ruoxue and Freak came to the courtyard from their room and saw her grandfather and the others. Not only that, but there were 3 unfamiliar faces and Su Nan. The two of them looked at each other. They were puzzled, but neither of them said anything. Grandpa! Lung Ruoxue called out softly. Schwer, you're up, Lung Qing'un said and signaled his granddaughter with his eyes. Yes, Grandpa. Who are they? Lung Ruoxue asked straightforwardly. Little Snowy, let me introduce you. They are Lon Lai, Lung Wudi, and Sun Teng. You know Su Nan. Lon Ming braced himself and introduced them one by one. Boo-hoo. He knew that Lung Ruoxue didn't like to be disturbed, but this really had nothing to do with him. Oh, may I know why you are here? Lung Ruoxue said indifferently without much enthusiasm. They accompanied me to see my uncle, Lon Lai said quickly. He had already heard about their tempers from his uncle, so he knew from Lung Ruoxue's attitude that they weren't welcomed. Boo-hoo. He was a handsome youth who was loved by everyone. How did he become an annoying fly in Lung Ruoxue's eyes? He couldn't understand. Chapter 395. The Might of a Sneeze, 1. Oh, in that case, we won't disturb your uncle and nephew reunion. Grandpa, let's go for a walk. Don't be a third wheel, Lung Ruoxue suggested to Lung Qingtian. Okay. Lung Qingtian nodded in agreement, but he couldn't help laughing in his head. He, Shuer, is really too evil. She's pretending to be confused even though she knows that these people are looking for us. After speaking, Lung Ruoxue and the others left their residence tacitly. They really left. Lan Lai said gloomily. These people really have character. Hee, I like it. It seems like our charm is useless against them. Lung Wudi sighed. This was the first time in his life that he had been ignored like this. Alas. Then what should we do? Sunan asked angrily. Boo-hoo. He must have been implicated by these three people. Uncle? Lan Lai looked at Lan Ming pleadingly. Don't look at me. I told you long ago. Why don't you go back first? Lan Ming said helplessly. These aristocratic young masters born with golden spoons had finally kicked an iron plate this time. He couldn't help gloating. All right, let's go back first. Lung Wudi said understandingly. In fact, he also knew that it was a little rude for them to come uninvited. Lung Ruoxue and the others walked on the streets, looking left and right, feeling especially happy. Lass, where are we going? I'm hungry, old Zhao grumbled after walking for a while. To eat. Lung Ruoxue said with a light smile. Where are we going to eat? Old Zhao's face was full of curiosity. He didn't think that the dishes from any restaurant could match up to what they made themselves. But it was also good to change their taste occasionally. Carefree Pavilion. The dishes there are passable, but they're a little expensive, Lung Ruoxue said with some dissatisfaction. The Mystic Association headquarters was really too good at making money. Shuer, the dishes in Carefree Pavilion are the best on the entire Boundless Heaven continent, Empty couldn't help saying. That's because you're too ignorant. Lung Ruoxue rolled her eyes in disapproval. Ah. Empty was depressed. Alright. He admitted that the dishes of Carefree Pavilion were not as delicious as the ones made by Lung Ruoxue and the others. But they were really the best on the Boundless Heaven continent. They soon arrived at Carefree Pavilion. Guests, please come in. The waiter welcomed Lung Ruoxue and the others warmly as soon as they entered the restaurant. Do you have a private room? Lung Ruoxue asked lightly. Yes, please follow me, the waiter said carefully. Then he led Lung Ruoxue and the others to the second floor. After entering the private room, everyone found their seats and ordered their dishes. Soon, the dishes were served. Don't let anyone disturb us, Lung Ruoxue ordered the waiter. She hated being disturbed when she was eating. Don't worry, Mississippi. I understand, the waiter said very respectfully and left the room. After the waiter left, Empty appeared. Shuer, you've been in the limelight in the competition recently. You're now famous in Carefree City, Empty teased while eating. I like to keep a low profile. Being in the limelight isn't my style, Lung Ruoxue said gloomily. I really didn't mean to be in the limelight. Boo. Plus, we're in the limelight, but we've also offended many people. We have to be more careful in the future, old Zhao reminded. That's right. Besides Sun Meilin and Zhou Kun, we have to be wary of the Bai family now. Lung Qingtian nodded. Shuer had tortured the Bai families by Ru very badly on the arena, so the Bai family probably wouldn't let her go. You don't have to be afraid of the Bai family. It's just a family under the Sun family, not worth mentioning, Empty said nonchalantly. In fact, among the many families on the Boundless Heaven continent, the Lung family and the Lan family were the strongest at present. As for the Sun family, it was already slowly showing signs of decline. Little girl, Lung Wudi is the future patriarch of the Lung family. He's already here. What do you intend to do? Old man asked worriedly. He had already tied himself to Lung Ruoxue. What would happen to them if Lung Ruoxue acknowledged the Lung family as her family and went to it? The Lung family is the Lung family and I am me. We just have the same surname, Lung Ruoxue said lightly. At the same time, it was to reassure Old Man and Feng Jing that she had no intention of returning to the Lung family at all. Such a super family was too complicated, and she didn't want to go to that muddy water. Hearing this, Old Man was relieved, but his gaze couldn't help turning to Lung Qingtian. Why are you looking at me? Our Shuer is the head of the family. Lung Qingtian was determined to stand on his precious granddaughter's side. Although the Lung family was their main family, to be honest, his great-grandfather, grandfather, and father were long gone from this world. The Lung family on the Boundless Heaven continent had long broken contact with them, so he really didn't have a strong sense of belonging to that powerful Lung family. Moreover, he didn't think that they needed to rely on a certain family to be able to establish themselves on the Boundless Heaven continent. Furthermore, if they really found the Lung family, they would probably be regarded as people who played up to people of power and influence. The three of them were very proud people, so of course they wouldn't do something like that. "Old man, don't worry. I won't leave you behind," Lung Ruoxue said clearly. She was really helpless against old man's imagination, but she could understand. "Little girl, I'm not worried. Wanna leave us behind? Dream on." Old man roared, his face slightly red. He was a little embarrassed that his thoughts had been seen through. "Ah. You old thing, you only know how to let your imagination run wild all day. Learn from me and don't think about anything. Wherever the girl goes, I'll go with her. How good is that?" Old Zao laughed boisterously. "You don't have to let your imagination run wild. I'll tell you clearly now that I have nothing to do with the Lung family of the Boundless Heaven continent. My only relatives are Grandpa, Big Brother, and everyone here," Lung Ruoxue said very seriously and with certainty. Chapter 396, The Might of a Sneeze, 2. Ruoxue, actually, there are really a lot of disputes in big families. Feng Jing sighed. Although he had been dedicated to cultivation in the past, he was someone who had been the head of a family after all. So he knew very well how complicated families were. Moreover, he had long been accustomed to a carefree life with Lung Ruoxue and the others during this period of time. If he really belonged to a particular family, he wouldn't be able to adapt. "I know." How could Lung Ruoxue not know? Before her rebirth, she was also a pawn of a large family and worked hard for the family. This simple and carefree life was what she yearned for after her rebirth. So she was determined not to return to a complicated family. She had no sense of belonging no matter how strong that family was. To her, the Lung family of the Boundless Heaven continent could at most be considered distant relatives with a little blood relationship with her, and she was at most a proud and poor relative. So she really didn't want to hug other people's thighs to prevent others from giving alms to them like they were beggars. Everyone chatted as they ate. After eating, they returned to their residence happily. "You're finally willing to come back," Lan Ming complained as he looked at everyone resentfully in the courtyard. Where did this resentful man come from? "Lass, did we go to the wrong place?" Old Zao asked exaggeratedly. "We didn't go to the wrong place. He probably went to the wrong place," Lung Ruoxue teased. "Boo. Little Snowy, you make me so sad," Lan Ming complained with tears in his eyes. "Freak, I'm tired. Let's go back to our room," Lung Ruoxue said to Freak, ignoring Lan Ming's self-directed act. "Okay." Freak nodded and returned to the room with Lung Ruoxue. After Lung Ruoxue and Freak returned to their room, Lung Qingtian and the others also returned to their rooms. In the blink of an eye, only Lan Ming was left in the yard. "Boo! Why are these people so unsympathetic?" Lan Ming murmured to himself while looking up at the sky. He was so depressed. Boo! They were too evil. His mood was as gloomy as this moonless night. "You bad people." The next day, when Lung Ruoxue and the others came out from their rooms, they saw Lan Ming standing in a daze in the courtyard like a statue. "Did you become a stone statue?" Old Zao nudged Lan Ming's body with his hand, his face full of excitement. Clearly, he had no sympathy. "Did he stand outside all night?" Feng Jing asked curiously. "Probably not," First Elder Feng guessed. Just as everyone was discussing Lan Ming, a bird flew out of nowhere, and then they heard a plop. The bird actually let out a pile of feces. Moreover, it happened to land on Lan Ming's head. "Even a bird is bullying me." The tragic Lan Ming screamed at the sky, his heart bleeding. Everyone was stunned, and then they burst into laughter. "Ha! This is too funny. Old Zao laughed the most exaggeratedly, almost rolling on the ground. Thump. Lan Ming fell to the ground stiffly. Ha! You've been standing here for too long. The image of the stunningly beautiful man is all destroyed now. Leng Ruoxue teased happily. Why was this Lan Ming becoming more and more funny? He was so dignified and imposing the first time she saw him. Why was he now? You bullied me and the bird bullied me. Boo-hoo. Lan Ming wanted to cry but had no tears. His limbs were a little stiff because he had been standing for too long. The only thing he could move normally was his mouth and eyes. Boo! And his image. His noble and perfect image had disappeared forever since he got to know these people. We didn't bully you. Leng Ruoxue took out a pill and threw it into Lan Ming's mouth. You bullied me a lot. Lan Ming complained. After taking the pill, he stretched his limbs and got up from the ground. I'm going to take a bath. Lan Ming ran back to his room in a hurry. Ha! Leng Ruoxue looked at Lan Ming's fleeing back and smiled happily. Shuer, let's make breakfast. We have to go to the competition later, Leng Qingtian reminded. Leng Ruoxue nodded, and everyone got busy. After breakfast was ready, Lan Ming emerged from his room after a bath and found a chair to sit down on. Don't you have to draw lots first? Leng Ruoxue asked curiously as she looked at Lan Ming, who was sitting down to eat breakfast. I'm hungry. Lan Ming drank his porridge without looking up. What a heartless little girl. I haven't eaten anything all night, yet she still wants to chase me away. Boo. Oh. Leng Ruoxue answered softly and continued eating. After breakfast, everyone went to the competition venue. After reaching the arena, Lan Ming went to draw lots, while Leng Ruoxue and the others went directly to their seats. They had sat down when the people from the Sunzhou City branch all came. You're really early today, Sun Meilin said, her beautiful eyes flashing with anger. We didn't come early. You came late. Did the additional round yesterday go smoothly? Leng Ruoxue said with great concern. You don't have to worry about that. Sun Meilin roared furiously. As soon as she thought about yesterday, she wanted to kill people. She didn't know what methods that ugly man used, but even a heaven-grade pill couldn't treat Ni Tao's injuries, causing him to have no choice but to withdraw from the competition early. It was really infuriating. It seems like yesterday's matches didn't go smoothly. Why else would Miss Sun be so angry? By the way, I have to remind you to take note of your image. The young master of the Leng family is watching from the main stage. Leng Ruoxue said with a smile, her words full of concern. People who didn't know would definitely think that they were good friends. Moreover, she still didn't know that Ni Tao's injuries hadn't improved after taking a heaven-grade pill. You just take care of yourself. Sun Meilin almost wanted to shout again, but she suddenly remembered Leng Ruoxue's words and forcefully endured it. Although this ugly monster was very annoying, her words were very reasonable, so she endured it for the sake of the Leng family's young madam position. Anyway, in her eyes, Leng Ruoxue was no different from a dead person. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.